You told her to kill me.
Yes. But here you are. And there she is. Finally, a girl is no one.
A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell. And I'm going home.
When you play the game of microphones, you win or you die. From within the House of Black and White, it's Sir Duncan and Lady Rachel.
Good morrow, waifs, imps, and floppy fish, and welcome to Game of Microphones. I'm Lord Sterling, Sir Duncan, murderer of the mundane.
And I'm Lady Rachel of House Fox, the Achiever.
And this is episode 100.
Woo!
Dude, how about that, huh?
Oh my gosh, it's so cool. Triple digits.
Yes, and thanks to all of our listeners for sticking with us and downloading Game of Microphones. It's an honor to be able to provide you with supplementary material for your favorite TV series. The best series of all time, Game of Thrones.
What? Oh, so cool.
Yes.
I love it that we made it to 100 episodes.
And many more.
And many more. Yeah.
Hopefully we get tons of spin-off series to cover too.
Yes. And maybe even some book stuff if I can ever get my nose back in the books. On this episode of our series Rewatch, we are covering Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 8, No One.
And in case you're not already aware, this series Rewatch is from the perspective of someone who's current on the show. That means you've seen up through Season 7. If not, there's still time to be launched by a catapult into the walls of a castle so you don't have to hear these spoilers.
Warning.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
My God. That was such a horrible line from Jamie.
I know, it's so good. The things we do for love, right?
I'm just going to fling your baby into a catapult and throw it over the wall. Nice.
Oh, so brutal.
And he would do it. He threw Bran out a window. Yeah. I wouldn't put it past him.
Totally. Yeah, it's interesting how by letting Edmure go, his enemy in this circumstance, he's paralleling Lady Catelyn letting him go on the promise of him fulfilling an obligation in the hopes of being reunited with a family member.
Yeah.
Total parallel.
Very poetic.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So this is a pretty great episode too, huh?
I really like this episode. I kind of forgot. I mean, I always remember this episode from the Waif T1000.
Right.
Scene. That's like when I think of this episode of No One, I think of Arya. And I kind of always forget we see a lot of other people. And there's some really, really good stuff in this episode that I'm always happily reminded when I watch it.
Yeah, like I always think that the scene with Sandor taking the axe to all those guys is in the last episode. So I always forget that that's in this one, for instance.
Oh my God. So cool. I'm sure that's probably in your top 5.
Yeah, it is actually. It's my number 5. Should we start with that?
Why don't we start with that?
All right.
That's fucking epic.
I called it Butthole Buggery Before Brutalization / Shit at Dying.
No crushed up assholes in this situation.
Yeah, well, I don't know. He was mashing up that asshole. It seemed like.
Oh, that's right. He did an axe to it.
No, I mean the first guy with his finger.
Oh, yeah. Ew, yeah, that was so gross.
Yeah, the butthole buggery.
Ew, and then he smells it.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
right?
Why would you stick your finger up another man's ass?
Right, who does that?
Like, just for fun.
Right.
I mean...
Lures him in and everything. Oh man! As soon as he starts putting his hands on him, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like what's about to happen here.
Yeah.
it's like, why would you do that to your friend? It made me think of this story that Jonah Hill told. So Jonah Hill, it's like the first time he's going out in Hollywood, and he's with one of his friends, and they go into this club and they're hanging out, and he goes into the bathroom to take a piss, and he sees his friend in the bathroom at the urinal. So he walks over to him as he's taking a piss and grabs his shoulders and goes, "Earthquake!" and like shakes him around. And there's like piss flying everywhere. And his friend turns around, and it's not Jonah Hill's friend at all. It's a completely random person, and it's Casey Affleck. And he's like, "What the fuck, man? Why'd you do that?" And Jonah Hill's like, oh my God, no, I'm so sorry. I thought you were my friend. He's like, "Why would you do that to your friend?"
That's even worse.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. This is kind of like, apparently these guys aren't friends. Right? Because he's like, "Fuck you, disgusting old twats." Like, it doesn't seem like they've like been traveling together for very long or something like that, which makes it even more intense.
Just like three guys like camping out in the woods together, sticking their fingers up each other's butts.
Yeah, I think it was 4 guys, but yeah.
Brokeback Mountain, anyone?
So brutal.
Yeah.
So that's pretty hilarious. And as that guy's recovering from the sexual assault, the Hound is approaching from behind.
Oh my God, I love it. He's on a mission.
Oh yeah, just walking right up, like almost like T-1000 style.
Kind of.
With the axe in his hands, and he just swings that fucker, and everybody else looks like kind of scared, and they're all backing off.
They start getting up.
Yeah,
they're like, "Oh,
getting up and retreating, and the guy's like, "Huh?" and like turns around, and right as he turns around, he catches the axe.
The head lopped off.
His whole head comes off in one swing. I'm no slouch with an axe myself, but that is a nice swing of the axe right there, taking off somebody's head in one swing.
I can honestly say I've never swung an axe.
Really? Oh,
never.
Man, love swinging axes.
I've watched people cut wood before, and I thought maybe no, I didn't help. I did not participate. I just watched.
It is very therapeutic, as you suggested last episode.
Maybe I should start chopping some wood outside.
Get a sledgehammer. It'll be like part of your powerlifting. So Sandor comes in there and just starts thrashing these guys. And before anybody can do anything, he basically slams his axe into the chest of a second guy who's just like, like caught so off guard by this whole thing. And then he pulls the axe out, rips it out of the guy's chest, and turns back around and swings it a backhand right and just whack, like slices this guy's throat like perfectly. And the guy's like, and then he swings that axe like an uppercut almost right into that guy's groin, pulls it out, and I don't even want to know what fell out of there from in between that guy's legs. I don't even want to know what that was. Oh
my God. And
this part is hilarious. His brief interrogation of the bald guy. What's his name? Gattens? Yeah, Gattens. Yeah. Very romantic. You jam your thumb right up my buttonhole. He only briefly has the opportunity to interrogate him. What does he say? He's like, where's the other one? The one with the yellow cloak, the guy from the horse last week.
Fuck you.
Yeah, those are your last words. Fuck you. Come on, you can do better.
Cunt.
You're shit at dying.
Shit at dying.
You know that. That is a classic quote right there.
Oh my God. It was so funny.
And the Hound ought to know too, because he's killed quite a few people in his day.
That's true.
He's kind of an expert on people dying, you could say.
I would have to agree.
Yeah, so I'm just like, damn, legendary, the Hound for the win. Anything else about this first scene you want to talk about?
No.
The bunghole or anything?
It's like the rebirth of the Hound.
Yeah. Yeah, like definitely.
He was like kind of resurrected and turned into kind of like this. He didn't have much of a purpose other than being kind of a laborer in that little village. And he was avoiding who he is, which is a killer.
Right.
And so this is him kind of stepping back into that role of I'm on a war path right now, because these guys aren't even guys that had anything to do with that little village being taken out. He just wants to fucking kill something. right now.
That's possible, but I think these guys are connected with the people that killed the church builders, because the Hound asks, where's the guy with the yellow cloak, as if he is assuming that they're connected and he would know. But they're just pawns of the Lord of Light who are functional to bring Sandor, to both bring Sandor back into the fold and reactivate his houndiness, kind of, and to lead him to the group of people that are heading north to fight the undead.
Yes, I have this in my notes too, that this is a little bit later. I'm sure we'll go over it when he meets back up with Thoros. I was like, oh, this starts his journey north to the wall.
The reluctant hero. We'll talk more about that later for sure.
Sure. Cool.
I think it was kind of fucked up how to go back to the first part of this scene. It was pretty fucked up how that guy's he's like, oh, this kissing lesson is only for the masters, this technique. And the guy is like, who's ready for it? And the guy volunteers like, you don't want to volunteer for whatever is going on here.
No.
Yeah, that just kind of blew my mind.
Like, why? I didn't know guys practice kissing with each other either.
They don't.
I know. It was kind of weird. That whole situation was weird.
Yeah, totally. What's your number 5? What do you got?
I choose violence.
Yes, nice. That's my number 4. So perfect.
Cool, perfect. Yeah. So Cersei's in the Red Keep, and Sir Gregor is standing out in the hallway, and Qyburn approaches, and he informs Cersei that there are some faith militant in the Red Keep looking to speak with her.
Yeah, they've been permitted entry.
They have been let in by, who do you think? Is it Tommen?
Yeah, apparently it seems like Tommen is aware of it, so he's allowed it to happen. And you know how later on in the episode he makes the announcement about trial by combat being eliminated and outlawed?
Mm-hmm.
Qyburn says that he's praying at this moment. I think that he was praying on that decision, coming to grips with allowing his mother to go back into the grips of the sparrows, basically.
Yeah, I have to agree. That's for sure. So Cersei's like, fuck, I need to go deal with these guys. Come on, the mountain. Come follow me, my little pet dog.
Come on, the mountain.
Come along, the mountain.
Come on, Mountie.
And they get kind of cut off around the corner. There's some faith militant, and they're looking a little bit cocky.
Right,
and
yeah.
Lancel's there, and they have their arms crossed, and they have all the chains on, and their archaic, like medieval weapon looking like ball and chain weapons, and
those 4-pointed spiky axe things.
There's stupid engravings on their face.
Yeah.
On their head. So Lancel's like, His Holiness the High Septon wishes to speak with you. And Cersei's like, I'm not going to talk to him. He can come here. Like, he told me I could stay in the Red Keep until my trial. Why am I being summoned to the Sept of Baelor now?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like, I'm not going. And Lancel's like, well, he commands you to.
Yeah, and Qyburn, did you notice Qyburn at this part?
Yeah, he's looking at Cersei.
Yeah, he's like looking back and forth, almost like he looks like excited, like he can't fucking wait to see his creation unleashed.
I think that's exactly what's going through his mind. I think he's hoping that there's going to be...
He wants to see it in action.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen it in action, but he has not.
but we really want to see it unleashed on the faith militant, like the viewers of the show too. So he's kind of like playing the part of the viewer at this point, like, ooh, shit, shit's getting crazy. It's pretty funny. I love when they do that. They work in a character on the show, like saying something that the viewers are thinking, or totally. That type of thing.
Absolutely. So Lance was like, he didn't say anything like that. If you refuse to come, Cersei cut them off.
Get out.
Get out. And Gregor, the mountain, Mr. the Mountain, steps in front.
Right, because Lancel nods at his guys like, oh, she's not going to,
Yeah, we're going to forcibly take her.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The Mountain's like, are you fools? Like, are you really fools? And he looks super creepy.
Dude.
we're getting the angle of like what it would be like to stand in front of that actor and have him be literally like 2 heads taller than you. And the camera angle's like looking up into his helmet, and all you see is this purple face with these like blackish red eyes.
Creepy eyes. And they're like kind of widening a little bit and like looking all crazed.
And you can see the Faith Militant start kind of like, oh shit. It's kind of the same reaction that we got with the Lannister soldiers.
Right. Yeah, basically. That was just a preview. Yeah,
she's like, we just can't let you pass. Like, we have to follow the king's orders. And I think Cersei in that situation, she's like, I get it. Like, I'm not going to unleash the mountain on you for fulfilling your duties to my son.
Right.
But in this situation, she's like, go for it, Mr. the Mountain.
Yeah, she's like, I'm never going back to the fucking Sept of Baelor again.
So like, I love it.
In fact, I'm going to deal with that place.
Lancel, order your man to step aside or there will be violence. And we get a close-up of Cersei.
Yeah.
She goes, I choose violence. And I'm like, yes! Oh my God! The Mountain's gonna fuck some shit up here.
And Lancel looked almost excited about it too before that. He was like looking all smug, like he was like he wanted the violence almost. It's like, dude, are you insane?
Yeah, like you're in front too. I think you'd probably be the first one that would have to go up against the Mountain.
Yeah, you'd think so.
So cue the idiot to Lancel's side who just comes in and gets his weapon stuck in Sir Gregor's armor.
And the echo that it makes when it hits that armor is insane.
And he didn't even move. He got hit super hard and he stayed completely stationary. It didn't favor him at all.
True.
It was like hitting a brick wall.
Yep.
And he kind of looks down at it and looks up at the guy and just picks him up with one hand just under the neck. And I'm like, oh no.
The guy like wrenches the hammer out from the chest plate and like kind of looks at it. And like, I couldn't tell if there was blood on the spikes. Could you?
Oh, you know what? It didn't even occur to me to look. I thought it just got stuck in his armor because it was thick armor.
Yeah, he pulled it out and then he was going to swing again. And that's when he like kind of looks down at it like, oh my God, it didn't do anything. And Gregor just grabs him by the throat.
I kind of want to go back now and look to see if there's blood on it because that would be really telling.
Yeah. If we could see if there was like entry wounds.
Truly was like resurrected or if he's under some type of like necromancy spell.
Yeah.
So then he tosses the guy off to the side. Just tosses him over there and walks up and rips his face off. Like literally rips his face off.
His whole head.
I know. From the upper part of his mouth off.
I think it was actually under his jaw. Like he grabbed under his chin.
Oh, okay.
And ripped his whole head off. Because there's a still frame that I saw where he's like grabbing the front of his face and his fingers are reaching right under his whole jaw.
Oh, yikes.
And just one smooth motion just lifts it right on and just flings it right across the courtyard. Did you see
Qyburn's reaction to that?
Yeah, he was just like, he looked like he was like in ecstasy.
He's like, another dead body for me to fuck with.
This is what he's in his mind. He was like, oh my.
Oh my.
Yeah, that was Qyburn in that moment, right? And totally. Lancel is like, his whole head turns following that head fly across the courtyard.
They just run off.
Yeah. They sort of all instinctively started to retreat when he lifted up that guy.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I would. And Cersei's like, please tell the High Holiness he's always welcome here.
Yeah.
Like, this is what you're facing if you come here.
Totally.
Like, you're not safe here. You can't tell me what to do in the castle.
There's a couple Star Wars homages in this episode that I've noticed.
Oh, really? Is this one of them?
Yeah. This is one where in episode 4 of Star Wars, in the first scene, when Darth Vader enters the rebel ship and he's walking along and he's trying to interrogate one of the guys and he chokes the guy and lifts him up off the ground. And that's basically what Gregor is doing here. He grabs him and lifts him up off the ground.
I remember that. It's been a long time since I've seen that Star Wars.
And he like crushes the guy's throat. Oh, it's so good. And and so here, Gregor basically does that. It's cool because it's the first time that we see Darth Vader in action, that choke and lift. And here it's the first time seeing the new mountain, Frankengregor, in action. So this is sort of like a Darth Vader moment for Gregor, which I thought was kind of cool. And then later in the episode with Tyrion and Varys, they reference the famous scene as Han Solo is being dropped down into the carbonite bath to be frozen, and Leia's like, she can't take it anymore. And she's like, I love you, to Han. And he's like, I know. And we get that kind of here with Tyrion and Varys. As Varys is walking away, Tyrion can't handle it. He's like, I'm going to miss you. And Varys says, I know.
Didn't Archmaester Stitches bring that up when he was guest hosting with us about
I think so.
Han Solo saying, I know, instead of I love you too, that was total like...
Yeah, it was ad-lib. Yeah, amazing.
Crucial scene.
Crucial. So that was cool. Darth Vader moment here for Undead Mountain. And
I love the way they all three of them turn to walk away too. Qyburn looks super satisfied. Cersei's like has her bitch face on, and the mountain is just like
hulking along.
Yep, he's just doing his thing.
Oh, and I was like, Hulk. And then I was like, wait, no, not Hulk. Hodor's the Hulk.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut, exactly. Yeah. Juggernaut.
Yes, he is the Juggernaut for sure.
Totally.
So yeah, that's all I had for my number 5. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, just one thing, which is when he rips off that guy's head.
Oh, the camera angle in the drain.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, go for it.
That shot of the blood dripping through the grate is just amazing. Really well.
I wonder why they went with that. Do you think it symbolizes anything? Do you think they were trying to... I thought it kind of represented like it was the first bloodshed of this war between the throne and the High Sparrow. It's kind of the first like major... I think it's the first death. Yeah, so you could say like this is like the first time where the plane is broken. The blood has actually been spilling. Like the tension's been there for a really long time, but the blood has been spilt. Yep, the blood has been spilled. It's like crossing. The line has been crossed basically, and you could say that the blood crossing through the grate. The grate would be like the line or the plane, and it's permeating through now. Yeah. And Cersei's saying that she's choosing violence. She's done with this war of words. Yeah. She's good choosing point. Violence. She's like, I'm going kinetic prepared to spill blood, and I'm going to do it right now. Yep. So hardcore. Nice. Love it. I'm so glad you brought that up. I forgot about that. Yeah, I love that shot. It also sort of reminded me of the shot in Molestown when Gilly's hiding with the baby in the closet. And people are dying upstairs and blood is dripping through the floorboards. Yeah. Just like the angle from beneath where you realize just how much blood is in a person as it spills down and downwards and gravity is just taking it wherever it goes, you know? Yeah, pretty crazy, right? Jeebus. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just a really great episode. I love the way Qyburn smirks at the end, like, hee. So awesome. Choosing really violence. Yep. Yeah, that was my number 4 as well. Okay. How about your number 4? So my number 4 is the reunion of Sandor Clegane and Thoros of Myr. Nice. Yes. So is this in your top 5 at all? Yeah, kind of. It's Sandor the Reluctant Hero is my number 2. Okay. Why don't if this is part of your number 2, why don't you take this? Yeah, if you want to, I'll start with it. Sure. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and take this since we just did my number 5. Okay. So, Sandor catches up with Lemoncloak and friends, the murderers, but not before Thoros of Myr and Beric Dondarrion caught up with them. And they've already got them all strung up and everything, huh? Yep, they're ready to go. I love the way that Beric and Thoros greet Sandor. Beric's just like, Clegane. and Thoros is like, what the fuck are you doing here? Sandor, obviously is chasing them. And you,
Thoros hanging them. I thought that was a funny little back and forth.
Thoros of Myr is funny.
Yeah,
like
totally.
him.
Yeah, he's a great character. Like a sort of like a doesn't give a fuck style character.
Yeah, he's different than a lot of the characters we have on the show.
Yeah. So Sandor asks why they're hanging them, and it turns out that they're both want them dead for the same reason. That they attacked the nearby sept and murdered the villagers. And Sandor is like, oh, well, perfect. I was helping build that sept, and he killed a friend of mine. And I was like, damn, really surprising sentences from Sandor. Like, he was helping build a sept. Yeah, like he was doing something to like promote religion, which is intense from him. And also he had a friend, like you said. Yeah. So Thoros
actually points that out.
Yeah. I had paused it before Thoros' reply to and was already writing down like how strange that was. And then hit play. Thoros is like, you've got friends. And Sandor's like, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh man, that sucks.
That's so great.
He's like, these fuckers are mine, basically, and they have to physically block him from coming up with his axe. And they're pissed also because they've sullied the Brotherhood's good name. The Brotherhood.
This is not what they're about.
Yeah, they're not about this bullshit. So they are taking. They've basically tried them and are gonna handle it on themselves to make up for their honor, basically. And so Sandor is like, dude, like, this is not cool. Fuck that. Fuck your name. They're mine. These fuckers. And he steps up to Beric Dondarrion. He's like, I killed you once before. Happy to do it again. And right at that moment, this guy cocks his bow. He like draws his bowstring back and is aiming it at Sandor, and without even turning to look at him, Sandor holds up the axe pointing at him. He's just like, drop that arrow, you bloody girl. And that's a fucking great line. A little sexist, but hilarious nonetheless.
It was funny.
Right, yeah, totally. Sandor is just such a great character, and he's huge, man. He towers way over these guys. I think Rory McCann is 6'6".
Wow.
So yeah, he's pretty solid guy, like in terms of size. And as the guy's still aiming the bow, Sandor says, "Tougher girls than you have tried to kill me." And
Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, and so that made me think, because we were talking about Sandor potentially having been resurrected by the Lord of Light last episode, or not during last episode, but last episode we were talking about it after being left for dead by Arya. So if Sandor did die and was resurrected, he's seemingly unaware of it, because he refers to Brienne as having only tried to have killed him.
Yes.
And he also says, we all die except for this one over here, and like nods at Beric.
Pointing at Beric.
Right. If he had known that he was resurrected, he would have said, except me and that guy, right? So if he did come back from the dead, he seems to be unaware of it, is basically what I'm getting at.
And I think that's kind of interesting, because do we ever get if Beric remembers his deaths? Because Jon does.
Yeah.
He remembers that he died.
If Sandor was like passed out from lack of blood or something, he may not have remembered dying. Jon remembers like being stabbed and like the immediate trauma.
But he probably bled out too because of all the stab wounds.
Right. But he, like in either case, they probably, when they bled out and passed out, would have probably thought they were going to die. Jon was pretty sure of it with being stabbed directly in the heart and everything, but maybe Sandor thought that he could have survived. Who knows?
Maybe.
That's what it seems like. So Beric is starting to feel Sandor's plight a little bit, and he's like, listen, you can have one of these guys. I'm like, fine, take one of them. Sandor's like, give me two. Come on.
They're like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and Beric's like, God, give him an inch, he takes a fucking mile. He looks over at Thoros, and Thoros is like, nah, give it to him. It's cool. So he's like, fine. And he approaches with the axe. And he's about to nail one of these guys, and Thoros grabs the axe. And he's like, no. We're not butchers. And as this is happening, Lemoncloak is looking terrified. in hilarious fashion.
He certainly does.
Yeah. Yep. So Sandor is pissed because he wants him to suffer, basically. He's like, where's the punishment and like hanging? It's just all over in an instant. It's bullshit. I'll only gut one of them, let me gut one of them.
I'll hang the other and I'll gut the first one.
Yeah,
I want to put an axe into something.
Yeah, and Barrick's like, no. He's like, come on, I'll chop off one hand. Barrick's like, no. It's like negotiating with like a little kid or something. He's like, bunch of Nancys.
I love it when Justin tries to negotiate with me, but what he negotiates is less than what I'm trying to give him. Like, for example, he'll be like, I want to play with my toys I'll say, okay, Justin, you can play for 5 more minutes. He goes, no, I want to play for 3 more minutes. And I'm like, okay, that's great.
Hilarious.
3 minutes it is.
Classic.
Yeah.
So I like Barrick here. He's like, listen, we gave you 2 out of the 3 out of respect for your loss. Like, that's pretty generous. We got to get some of our honor back and participate a little bit here ourselves, right? So I like, they kind of agree, but Sandor has a great line where he's like, at one point in my life, I would have killed all 7 of you just to gut these 3.
It's getting old, Clegane.
Well, he's not. Kicks the bucket out from underneath one of these guys. Classic moment. Sandor is the man. I'm like, yeah, so funny.
And then Lem.
Right.
He's freaking out.
Yeah, he's trying to beg for his life.
Please
Not
don't.
a chance. Not a chance.
Kicks the box.
Yeah, and then he's like, everybody starts walking away, and Sandor like happens to notice his boots apparently, and he bends over and
isn't that was so freakish? Everyone's looking at him like, dude, he's not even cold yet. And you're ripping his boots off.
Yeah, he's so casual about stealing the still strangling man's boots. Mm-hmm. There's 2 different types of ways to hang somebody. One where you drop them, or you remove something that they're standing on and they don't really fall any distance, and it's the strangulation of the rope that kills them.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And then there's a second type, which is actually the instant way of dying. The
neck crack.
Right, yeah. This way, like Sandor's like, it's over instantly. Not quite so much here. It's a few seconds of suffering as they suffocate. This type of hanging. But yeah, there's like a calculation. There's like a mathematical equation for how heavy the body is, or how heavy the person is, for how far you need to drop them so that the fall will break their neck but not sever the head completely. There's there's an art to it, which is pretty crazy. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so there's 2 different types of hanging. Just kind of interesting little historical side note there. And yeah, it's just great. He's pulling the boots off this guy while he's still struggling, and his legs are kicking. And they're all
looking at him, and he just like looks up and looks around. He's like, "Got anything to eat?"
Yeah. Oh man, gotta love the Hound. And then of course they're eating and all chilling, and they're like, how's the food, man? And he's like, I prefer chicken. Like, fuck yeah, he'll kill all you for some chicken. He loves his chickens. Kentucky
he does
Fried
love
Hound.
His chickens.
Hound fried chicken.
So Barrick is trying to get Clegane to join because they could use a big body like that and keep what they think is the peace.
It's like how I said that the Night King would would want Hodor in his army and his honor guard. Barrick's like, we could use this guy.
Like you have to ask the question.
Yeah, totally.
I love Thoros here. He's like, we're here for a reason. The Lord of Light is keeping Barrick alive for a reason.
Yes.
He gave a failed drunk priest the power to bring him back for a reason. We're all a part of something larger than ourselves.
And this is our first hint that Thoros has been informed about the situation in the north by the Lord of Light as well. He must have seen some visions in the flames or something. Yeah. Because they know that there's like a greater war at this point.
Do you think maybe that's where they were heading, is up north already?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I got that vibe too. Because I found it interesting that he just said that we're all here for a reason. And it kind of placates to what you said in a previous episode about the Hound maybe using Heartsbane and being like a really pivotal role in season 8. Because maybe of this line, Thoros is no longer with us. Like Beric Dondarrion is still alive, correct?
Yes.
He's still alive. Okay. So Thoros is gone, but the Hound and Beric are still.
Yeah, I think
there.
Beric's going to give his life to save the Hound in season 8. I really do. He's the one that brings him onto the team here. He's the one that's going to put himself in the line of fire to make sure the Hound survives, potentially even resurrecting the Hound himself.
Ooh, wouldn't that be something?
That would be. Passes his own flame on to Sandor.
Yeah, so I do think they're heading to the north because actually Beric says cold winds are rising in the north.
Right, so that's how we really know that they know what's going on in the north. Like Thoros has been, he has seen the undead. Cold winds are rising. We know what that means. You know what happens when it gets cold? The White Walkers come.
It's the fire Wi-Fi versus the ice Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the network, the fire and ice network.
Just like Melisandre has seen, the undead and the flames and the battles in the snow and the flames and everything like that. Thoros is seeing these visions as well and knows that they need to act.
With haste.
Yeah, big time, big time. And Sandor's like all skeptical, like, what? And you're going to do something about the cold winds? Beric's like, we need good men to help us.
And Sandor's like, last time we saw each other, you tried to kill me.
Yeah.
Like, how can I trust you?
Right. But he brings up how the Lord of Light, there basically still has purpose for Sandor. It's kind of funny. He says that the Lord of Light gave him power to defeat Beric, and the Hound's like blows that off. He's like, come on, I already had the power to defeat you. Like, I beat you because I'm better than you, Beric. I was better than you before you started yammering on about the Lord of Light, and I'm still better than you now. And I like Beric gives it to him. He's like, yeah, you're probably right. You're a fighter. Yeah, you were born a fighter, but you walked away, tried the path of peace. How did that go? Nothing good happened. Everybody you were with got killed. But the things that we're fighting, the reason we're going north, they will kill indiscriminately. The good, the bad, the old, and the young.
It's just the living in general.
Yeah, and that sort of makes Sandor look like nervous. It seems to be unnerved by that. Like, what things are we talking about here?
Oh my gosh, what if the people that have been resurrected can't get killed by the White Walkers?
That would be interesting.
I just thought like that would be kind of a cool twist.
Yeah, it'd be like how the ice weapons can't kill or can't break the Valyrian steel type thing.
Yeah, and we've discussed this in the past that Jon kind of has like this protection around him in these battle type situations. And
right.
Kind of so does the Hound. And we can speculate that maybe he's been resurrected.
Yeah.
We have Thoros of Myr. Or not Thoros of Myr. We've had Beric Dondarrion resurrected, and he's up north and has survived that almost unsurvivable situation as well.
Yep.
So wouldn't that be a fun little twist?
What
the Night King and Jon Snow go head to head, and the Night King like stabs Jon Snow in the heart, and Jon Snow just walks around with his ice lance in his heart.
Nice.
All surprised, surprised the way he was surprised that Longclaw caught the White Walker's weapon.
Right, just the way that the White Walker was surprised. Yeah. Pretty crazy.
I doubt that will happen, but it was kind of a fun little tinfoil.
Fun little idea, yeah. So the line about these indiscriminate things in the north that will kill everybody makes Sandor nervous. And Beric continues. He's like, listen, you can still help a lot more than you've harmed Clegane. It's not too late for you. And this is basically continuing Ray's message from yesterday, reinforcing the positive message that Ray had for Sandor, that you can, it's not too late to come back, he says to him. And then Beric here says, it's not too late for you. This is really being hammered into Sandor's psyche as people around him, even people who know of his horrible past, continue to see his worth and his potential and the good that's inside of him. It's got to be starting to hit Sandor, as we can see from his reaction here. He, in his mind, he's saying like, people keep telling me this, and he's a reluctant hero before he actually agrees to ride north with them. He's it's a typical archetypal role. Like, before, at the beginning of Star Wars, when Obi-Wan is telling Luke to embrace his destiny and stuff, Luke is like, I don't know, Uncle Owen needs my help at the moisture farm this summer, and you know what I mean, reluctant to step into the footsteps of a hero. Same as with Sandor here. So it's just cool seeing him displaying the fingerprints of these archetypal roles, because it signals something big coming for him.
Definitely.
Which is awesome and exciting.
Cool.
Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's all I had for that scene.
So what's your number 3?
Ooh, it's Brienne and Jaime.
Ooh.
Brienne.
Brienne. Nice. GN.
Brienne. Oh, man. So this is actually specifically when they're in the tent.
Okay.
I did like to note, I had my little note here, that I love when the Lannister army approaches Brienne. She's like, I am Brienne of Tarth.
Yep.
Let Jaime Lannister know that I'm here. Tell him I have his sword.
Yeah, that was interesting, right? I was like, ooh, is she going to try to give it back to him? And
I think she was going to try to give it back. Yeah, because she fulfilled her purpose. So that's her way of telling him, I found Sansa.
Right.
I'm back with your sword.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. He's like, I got to hear what she has to say for sure.
Yeah. So
I like also how time basically stops for Brienne when she sees Jaime on the white horse in the distance, and just everything like slows down. And
shining armor.
Yeah, like the world ceases to exist. Everything outside of her tunnel vision for Jaime.
It's so cliche that Jaime rides a white horse.
Yeah, but it's
to
awesome,
me,
right?
It's so funny. I love it.
George Washington rode a white horse, famously. At least, sometimes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Technically, there's no such thing as a white horse.
Really?
Yes, they are all born black.
Well, technically.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then they go kind of dappley gray, and then they go lighter and lighter and lighter, and then they do turn white.
Like the jerk?
Like the jerk?
Yeah, I was born a poor black boy with no rhythm.
I have not seen that in so long. I can't, maybe like middle school. It's been a long time.
Yeah, same here.
So Jaime looks at her. He's like, I can't believe you found Sansa. So clearly we know that he put 2 and 2 together. Right.
He's like, I just assumed she was dead.
Why would you assume that? Well, girls like her don't live very long usually.
It's so true.
So they kind of, keep going. And Jaime's like, what are you doing here? She's like, I'm here for the blackfish. Jaime's like, have you ever met the blackfish before? You're not going to get him to consent to giving up his ancestral home to peacefully march his army north to help his niece.
Not happening.
You're not happening. So they kind of go back and forth about the politics, and Jaime kind of shudders, and he's like, we shouldn't argue about politics.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
It was so funny. It's like opposing sides just going around in circles because neither of which want to hear the other side or take it in.
The dynamics of all the circumstances that they laid out there were crazy.
Yeah. So Brienne basically kind of throws Jaime into a hard situation here, because he's like, I'm a Lannister. Please don't ask me to betray my own house. And if that reminded me back, because that's what the Mad King wanted Jaime to do.
You're so right. That's
the Mad King wanted Jaime to kill Tywin.
Right. Come back to me with Tywin's head.
Yeah. And so to Jaime's point, when he was talking to Tywin, he's like, I took on this role as the Kingslayer to save your life. Yeah, and he said this to Brienne in the bathtub scene at Harrenhal too. He was like, he asked me to come back with my father's head, but what did he expect? One law, one oath to the king, one to your house, So we know that Jaime's going to choose his house every time. Yeah. And if anybody was going to understand why this is an issue for him, it's Brienne, since he's already explained how this type of decision has been thrust upon him before. And I think Brienne does a really good job of trying to like come up with a solution to the situation, but she's not taking into account how stubborn the Blackfish is. Like, he's not just going to walk away.
It's not even really necessarily that. I think that he may have walked away. He may have actually done it, I think. But the crux of the situation is that he doesn't believe that Jaime has honor. And so whereas it comes down to...
He doesn't trust that they will go peacefully.
Right. Yeah, that they'll allow it. So Brienne's like, he's like, listen, she's like, allow me to enter Riverrun under a white flag. Let me try to persuade the Blackfish to give up the castle. And Jaime's like, why would he do that? Right. Because you'll allow him to lead the Tully forces safely north without attacking. And he's like, oh, actually, that's not like a terrible idea, but it's not going to work because he's super stubborn. Right.
He's even more stubborn than you.
Right. So she's like, it comes down to this. I need your word, like that you will grant us safe passage north. And that's what it comes down to for Brienne, is she's taking Jaime's word, which is why it seems plausible. But that's exactly why it won't work with the Blackfish, because as we know from last episode with his little showdown with Jaime, he sees him as a man without honor, the way that, a lot of people
most people.
Jaime.
Yeah, I shouldn't say everybody, but the majority of Westeros.
Yeah, a man
does
without
not
honor,
know the truth.
The Kingslayer. So naturally, as viewers, we know that it's going to be an effort in vain, as this will be the difference. Jaime's word was enough for Bran to think there's a shot here without any other proof or, like a guarantees or anything like that. And Jaime's word is just not enough for the Blackfish. So sadly.
Yeah, and then we get Brienne. She undoes her belt that is holding Oathkeeper, and she hands it over to Jaime.
Yeah.
And Jaime's like...
She tries to.
Well, because what he said was use it to defend Ned Stark's daughter. And get her safe, essentially.
Actually, before he gave her the charge to protect Sansa, he did say, it's yours. That's the first thing he said. But I could easily understand her thinking that this might be a decision he would possibly want to reconsider.
So I think being that there's like, a handful, under a dozen Valyrian steel swords out there, she presumably thought, okay, I've gotten Sansa safe, and the next time I see cross paths with Jaime, I'm going to give him his sword back.
Maybe.
Because it was never like, why would the Lord of the Lannisters, because Tywin's dead, not want this Valyrian steel sword in his family?
Great question to ask. And this is a very intense moment, but also that question exactly may foreshadow the reason and the motivation for Heartsbane being given away, because the Lord, the proper owner, is unable to effectively wield it to its full potential.
Ooh, I like that.
So we get one episode where Heartsbane is introduced. We get another episode where the Hound is brought back. And then we get a third episode right in sequence with a Valyrian steel sword being given away by someone who's incapable of properly wielding it. So,
very nice catch. That's awesome.
Right? So it's possible that, and it's another Hound episode, right? Where he's...
Damn.
Yeah. So, so it's possibly hinting that Heartsbane could be given away. And the attempted return of Oathkeeper could also foreshadow the actual return of Heartsbane after its bearer finishes the mission with that. We don't know. For all we know, Sam won't want to really give away the sword. Like maybe he just gives it to Sandor for the mission, or maybe he does give it away entirely, but Sandor dies.
Or maybe at first it's just for the mission, just like it was in this situation. So it was presumably given for the mission, but then the mission is completed, and maybe whoever's wielding Heartsbane goes back to Sam to give it back, and Sam thinks like, damn,
they've earned it now.
It should just stay with you because you're the warrior and I'm not.
Yeah.
And I don't have, well, I know he has little Sam. I know he has Gilly Sam, but he doesn't have like a biological heir to pass it down to.
Right. Not yet, at least.
not yet, but So maybe he does just like hand it over because it's so crucial that this person keep it.
And then it's also possible that, for instance, he does give it away, but then the person is killed in combat, like delivering the final blow with it or something. And then it's just the sword that gets returned. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
I think that's probably pretty plausible.
Who knows?
Yeah. So I love Jaime here. I really love their relationship.
Yeah, me too. Neither of them want to fight each other. They don't want to fight about politics. They really care about each other. It's so sad.
Because it's always going to be your sword.
Yeah.
Like, you completed a really almost impossible mission. You're a fantastic warrior. You deserve, you're honorable. It's called Oathkeeper, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I have one hand. What am I going to do with a Valyrian steel sword effectively?
Yeah, a left hand. You're a right-handed swordsman.
For the lefties. Because I would wield the sword with my left hand.
Hot pie!
Hot pie! So she ties it back onto her belt. And I love that moment of like, wow, now the Tarth house has Valyrian steel.
Yeah.
And they're not like a terribly big house. So that's kind of cool. And it's the first Valyrian steel sword in this series, not in the history, but in this series, carried by a woman officially as ownership of it. Okay, so not in the history of
but in
the
this
world,
series.
But in the series, like what we watch visually, because I know like Rhaenys
had Dark Sister, right?
She had Dark Sister, so there have in the past been women to wield Valyrian steel,
and we're gonna get 2.
Because then Arya gets the dagger, the cat's paw dagger.
Oh man, so cool.
So I thought that was kind of cool because we had that theme a couple episodes back of women taking over Westeros.
Yeah, possessing Valyrian steel is certainly symbolic of that.
And she's like the best woman warrior we have on the show, so it's really cool.
Yeah, and considering she's descended from Sir Duncan the Tall. She's in the book. Sir Duncan is not necessarily very smart. They call him Dunk the Lunk, or say Sir, thick as a castle wall. They describe him as. So Brienne in the books is sort of similar. She's not necessarily like the sharpest tool in the shed. She's loyal and stubborn and dedicated to a fault, but she's not necessarily like a mathematician, or a strategician.
Sure.
So it's interesting here that she comes up with such a lucid strategy to potentially get the Tully army north and solve Jaime's problem simultaneously, and just like a sort of Tyrion level stroke of strategic brilliance by Brienne. It's kind of surprising, but on show Brienne is pretty smart, so it's not too surprising for show Brienne.
Yeah, and then Brienne gets a little serious here, and she says one last thing, Sir Jaime, and he kind of looks at her, and he's like, "Yes, Lady Brienne." And she goes, "Should I fail to persuade the Blackfish to surrender, and if you attack the castle, honor compels me to fight for Sansa's kin."
Oh, he's like, "Of course it does."
To fight you.
And there's like a dramatic pause where it's looking at Jaime, and he sort of reflexively blinks, and he takes a big gulp.
I think it makes him sad.
It makes him sad, but it also, I think... Yeah, it really makes him really sad. He doesn't want, it's like Romeo and Juliet kind of.
Yeah, they don't want to fight each other. Are you kidding me?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're star-crossed lovers to the full extent, although Brienne loves him, certainly. And I think, there may be some element of that for Jaime as well. But they're on two opposite sides of a war, basically, forced to fight each other because of, what sides they're on. And, it makes him really sad, but at the same time, I think it also terrifies him because it's like he's like, "Oh God, if it comes to you fighting me, I'll lose.
I'm going to get killed."
Yeah.
And so he goes, "Let's hope it doesn't come to that." And that was such a weighted response because
so ominous.
He agrees because they're on opposite side. They're both honorable people.
Yep.
And Jaime to an extent, he has pushed little kids out windows and threatened to catapult babies into walls. But,
the things
for the most part, he tries to do the right thing.
Right. It's always for love, whatever horrible thing he's doing.
Yeah, but I think you also hit on a point that weights this line even more is if it comes to that, I'm going to fucking die because she has my Valyrian steel sword. And she's a badass and I have one hand.
Right. And they're just staring into each other's eyes in this moment, just hoping that it doesn't come to that. And Brienne, the camera cuts to Brienne, like looking at Brienne from Jaime's
and her little lip quivers.
Yeah, like her lip
before
dramatically quivers, and then she like hurriedly rushes out so Jaime doesn't see her cry, basically. Super intense moment. So good. Neither of them want to fight each other. It just sucks.
So this is the last time they've seen each other, right? Up to current. No. Oh.
Because of the farewell wave later in this episode.
That's right. Yeah.
But basically, this
episode is
the last.
Yeah. I forgot that was down the road here.
Really interesting stuff after this, basically, with Brienne and Jaime in the books. Some particularly hardcore stuff, mystery. Oh man, it's wild.
Oh my goodness.
That's where we're left off.
Oh, fuck.
So where are we?
So that was my number 3.
All right.
What is your number 3?
My number 3 is Bronn and Pod and street fighting.
Yay!
Oh man, what a great reunion.
Totally.
Right? I forgot how much fun it was having Bronn in the presence of Podrick Payne. So we're in the encampment at River Run outside at the siege, and all of a sudden Pod gets sneak attacked by someone who's choking the shit out of him.
Oh my God, who is this?
and then it's Bronn, and he like wrenches him over, and we see it reveals his face, and he launches him forward a bit and lets him go, and they're talking, and he's like, getting a bit old to be a squire, aren't we? And slaps him on the shoulder, and he's laughing, and Podrick is choking, and I
think they're happy to see each other.
Yeah, Bronn is like super excited to see Pod. He's like elated, and Pod he looks up to Bronn as well, obviously. So he's super excited too, but he's also getting beat up. So he's like the little brother of the situation, type thing.
He gets like a hit in the face again.
Yeah, that part's so funny. So he's all excited, and they're talking, and Bronn's like, you think that, he's like, so Brienne and Jaime are both in there right now? And Podrick's like, uh-huh. And he's like, you think they're fucking? He's like, I'd fuck her. You'd fuck her, wouldn't you? Podrick's like, I'm her squire. Silly
he's
little
like,
Pod.
You showed her your magic cock.
Yeah, you had to have
grabs
it by now. He's like,
speaking of cocks, I wanted to mention when the Hound is taking a piss into the river or the pond, you see his dick.
Oh, really? I didn't look.
You see it twice. I just happened to notice it this time.
So I was like, dicks on the show.
Oh my God. That was weird.
Hilarious. So there's another funny line with Bronn. He's like, Podrick fucking Payne, I thought you'd be dead by now. Which was kind of funny. Jaime thought that Sansa would be dead. Bronn thought Pod would be dead.
It seems to be a theme.
Yeah. And then they're talking about how, Bronn's like, yeah, Jaime would fuck her. You'd have to imagine, right? And we know that Brienne would fuck Jaime. I mean, look at the way she looks at him, right?
She loves him.
And he has a great line. He's like, the way all women look at him is frankly irritating.
I preferred the younger brother.
Yeah, on that account. Yeah. Bronn, you can always look forward to something fun with Bronn. Must be such a fun role to play.
Yeah.
And so he molests Podrick a little bit there. He like grabs his dick. He's like, you're the one with a magic cock, and like cups it. And Pod's like, oh man. Yep. Everyone's always messing with Pod. It's hilarious. And Podrick's all excited. He's like, he's back with one of his Jedi masters basically here. And he's like, Brienne's training me to fight. 1 hour in the morning, an hour at night, every day.
He's super proud of that.
Yeah, super proud. And Bronn's like, oh, And how'd an old cunt like me sneak up on you? And he's like, well, that's a different kind of fighting, right? And Bronn's like, oh, yeah, well, you want to learn that type of fighting, don't you? And Podrick's like, yeah, actually, totally. So he's like, all right, I'll give you a few tips. First, it's got to start with your footwork. He's like, look down at your feet and make sure that they're about a yard apart. And as Podrick looks down, he just slaps him right across the face. Imp slaps the shit out of him. Like that was an authoritative slap too.
Imp slap. Yeah, that looked like it hurt.
Yeah, it looked like it. Like, and Podrick is like, ooh, like stunned by it, and he's like, lesson number 1: assume everyone wants to hit you, because they do. Pod, everyone wants to hit a fucking squire. The way he said that sort of reminded me of Rick and Morty. Lesson number 1, Morty, assume everyone wants to hit you, because they do, Morty. Everyone wants to hit a fucking squire. And he's like, all right, again, come on, don't sulk, because Pod's looking a little bitch made, and he's like, nah, come on, we're bros, man, just lighten up.
It's cool, dude.
Yeah, I love their dynamic, and it's just so cool seeing them back together again.
Older and a younger brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. I think I actually said that a little while ago too. Pod's like the little brother of the equation.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's getting slapped around. And so also this slap here sort of reminded me of Jaime's slap to Black Walder last episode.
Black Walder has a black eye in this episode.
Oh, I've missed that entirely. But yeah, they both sort of get lured into a slap trap, which is hilarious.
A slap trap.
Slap trap, yeah. Jaime slaps the shit out of Black Walder. Then Bronn slaps Pod here. So both Jaime and Bronn got to slap somebody in the past couple weeks. That's kind of cool. Bronn saw Jaime slap that guy, and he's like, I just want to slap somebody now. Pod, perfect guy to slap.
Slap somebody. He slaps Jaime too when they're first fighting. He slaps him with his own hand.
Yeah, he pulls his own hand off of him and slaps him with it. Yeah, that's classic. Maybe that's what gave Jaime the idea of slapping somebody with the golden hand.
That's quite the bitch slap.
Yeah, it is. Black Walder got it last episode. So that wraps up my number 3. Just Pod and Bronn and those two cool guys chilling together.
Yes. Old friends reunite.
Yeah, so we covered your number 3, right?
Yes.
So what about your number 2?
My number 2 is King Tommen's decision.
Oh, shit.
Which is no more trial by combat, Cersei. You can kiss the mountain goodbye.
And this is when she really becomes the cornered animal.
Yeah. So Cersei enters and she literally parts the crowd. People just move for her and the mountain.
Everyone looks all nervous to see her because they know something's up.
Totally.
And she is pissed. She's headed right for the throne.
She's right to the throne. Her son's up there with Pycelle and Kevin. And it's like, ooh, that's her worst nightmare right there.
Yeah, totally.
So she starts walking up the stairs, or walks to the stairs, and she looks up at Kevin and was like, how come I wasn't informed that there was going to be an announcement? And I loved this because it echoed Tywin talking to Joffrey right in front of the Iron Throne about, why wasn't I informed about Daenerys Targaryen? And he's like, you're being informed right now.
Oh, right.
So Kevin kind of plays the same thing. He goes, yep. There is to be a royal announcement in the throne room at this very moment. And I loved it because him and Tywin are brothers.
Yeah, he always looked up to Tywin.
So I thought that was a nice little flashback of a power grab to not inform somebody that something was going on in the throne room.
Yeah, good catch. Great callback.
So she basically is just like, I'm done with this shit. And she starts walking past him. He's like, where are you going? Your place is in the gallery?
In the peanut gallery. Biatch.
Have a good summer, biatch.
Yeah, with the ladies of the court. Because technically...
she's nobody.
She's...
not nobody, but...
I mean, she's the queen regent. She's the dowager queen.
She's just a queen mother at this point.
She's the queen mother, but she's not the queen. And she doesn't really have a part to play up in these situations.
She doesn't have a role on the dais.
And Tommen's like looking over at his mom like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, he's too scared. He's trying to hide from her by talking to Pycelle.
Yeah, he's not looking at her.
He's so nervous.
He's like, is she gone? Pycelle, tell me when she's gone so I can sit down. So
yeah, exactly.
Cersei's like, oh, fuck this. I'm just going to go stand up with the other hens in the hen house. And we get Tommen's speech. And again, we hear that the crown and the faith are the two pillars.
Yeah, you sound like a frickin' broken record, dude.
Totally.
Right?
So
gross.
You know, it basically, if you break the law, you're going to be punished. And we have determined, me and the holiness, that Loras Tyrell and Cersei are going to be basically put in front of 7 scepters like it was in the early days of the faith, which I thought was really, really cryptic and nerve-wracking, because if the faith militant came out of the old ways of the church, I can't imagine what these trials are going to look like. I bet they're very intense and very one-sided. It's not really a trial. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's more like we're just going to manipulate.
Lynch mob.
Yeah, we're just going to manipulate the situation. So, and everyone's like, okay, whatever. Like, that's cool. We knew that they had to go on trial anyways. So,
right. On the first day of the Festival of the Mother.
The Festival of the Mother.
And then you can tell he's getting nervous.
Yeah, and he's like lurching in his chair, like a little, like grabbing the armrests. And furthermore, after much prayer and reflection. So there you go, Duncan. He was praying on it.
Well, he was praying on everything. I don't know if I'm not sure now if he was praying on this specifically at that point, because we don't know how much time has passed since the courtyard incident with Cersei on the mountain.
True.
So it's possible that her utilizing the mountain there, those surviving sparrows may have flew back to the High Sparrow and been like, oh my God, she's got this monster beast. She's going to win the trial by combat. And he's like, oh, well, maybe we can tell Tommen to outlaw it. So
yeah, we'll passively put it in his ear.
Yeah, right. So her unleashing the mountain earlier and choosing violence.
She showed her cards.
Yeah, it may have caused the trial by combat to be eliminated.
Love it. So again, she's fucking her own shit up.
Yeah.
As per usual.
She was too scared to go to the sept again, and may have cost her quite a bit.
Yeah. So furthermore, we are doing without trial by combat because it's a brutal way was basically a way for people to get out of sticky situations. So we're done with it.
Yeah, people with money hiring the best fighters or whatever and screwing their way out of corruption.
Yes. So they're just going to stand trial. It is what it is. You're not going to get to use that necromancer beast of yours.
And she is like, oh my God. Like her lips start to part as it's like sinking in and her eyes are going wide. And she's like, what is happening?
What is happening? So 7 blessings to all, everybody. I'm getting the hell out of here before my mom can come and find me
before
and scold me.
Before she sends the mountain towards me.
Yeah. So he scurries off. I found it interesting that he went through the crowd.
Yeah, with his Kingsguard around him, and
they usually go off to the side.
Yeah, true. He's just like, I gotta just get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, he had protectors, and I mean, he's not. I think the people there are, kind of Tommen.
The Kingsguard all around him, and she she moves to like sort of cut him off at the pass.
But she's too late. She watches him walk out.
And he won't even look at her.
Nope, can't even look at her. He kind of glances up at her, and God, I want to cut his hair so bad. Like get it out of the crown. Like it's like all uneven, and the crown's like squishing it down. His hair drives me crazy.
That's hilarious.
I just want to buzz it. Just buzz it.
Just buzz that shit.
So cue Qyburn.
Yes, creepy Qyburn. Woo!
Yes.
Your Grace.
So we hear that
old
he's been
researching
about. Something.
Yes.
So she's like, and was it just a rumor? or something more? Because so much more.
Oh my God, so creepy.
And I didn't even pick this up when I first watched it, that he found the wildfire.
Yeah, I don't think many people did. I think because it's kind of out of left field. You know, the last time we've heard about these wildfire caches was like season 2 or something like that, when Jaime and Brienne are in the bathhouse. Must have been season 3 because Joffrey was still alive. So I'd say mid-season 3, we get the bathhouse scene. It's been a good, 3 entire seasons since this stuff has been referenced.
Yeah. Jaime says something too that cues us that the Sept of Baelor is going to blow up. I'm trying to find it. It's when he's talking to Edmure, and he's saying that Catelyn reminds him of Cersei because of how much they love their children. And he says, I'm trying to find the line, because he says like Catelyn would do this, or one would do this, and the other would burn the city to ash.
Right. One would start a war.
Children.
Ned started a war. Cersei burned cities to ash.
Yes.
Catelyn freeing their worst enemies. And then he says the things we do for love, alluding to himself pushing Bran out of the window. That's my number 1. We'll get more into that in a little bit.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't want to go too far, but I just thought that we get this little quote here, and then Jaime mentions that, she's willing to basically burn the entire city down for her children. And she doesn't burn the city down, but she sure as hell. And the next time Jaime comes back to King's Landing, the first thing he sees is the Sept of Baelor has been blown up.
Yeah,
it's ashes and smoke is coming out of it.
And he also, because he probably mentions burning cities to ash because that's one thing that he's heard her say before. I think she's like, I would burn cities to the ground before,
I let that happen.
Yeah, something like that. I don't remember the exact context in which Jaime heard it, but...
So he knows instantly when he sees that Sept of Baelor blown up that Cersei's involved.
Oh, yeah. He's like, that was Cersei.
Yeah. So
for sure.
That was all of the notes I had for my number 2. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Not really. Just that Jaime, aside from killing the pyromancer before stabbing the Mad King in the back, probably should have sent people out to try to get rid of all those other stashes of wildfire.
Yeah.
Maybe he did, whatever. But either way, he couldn't like send too many people out because it's one of the king's secrets and they're sworn to protect the king's secrets, right?
Definitely.
So it would have had to have been like an effort led by the King's Guard, and maybe they never just weren't able to recover all of them or something.
Definitely.
But either way, Qyburn gets it handled, finds some caches.
The little birds.
Yeah,
tweet,
so
tweet.
that's super hardcore. The way that he's like, oh, more, much more, reminded me of the way that he left it, that ominous way when they were talking about the mountain being resurrected or him working on it. Yeah, will it weaken him? Oh no. Definitely.
It'll make him invincible because he's dead and I'm controlling him somehow, maybe with an imp's head.
Yep. So yeah, that's all I got for that scene as well.
Cool. So what's your number 2?
My number 2 was Sandor, the reluctant hero. So we should want to move on to my number 1.
Yeah, let's do your number 1.
All right. My number 1 is the things we do for love. Like we were just talking about, actually. So it's just
this is the first episode in a few that we haven't had the same number 1.
Oh, nice. What's your number 1?
Nice.
I guess we'll find out in a little bit.
Yeah. My number 1 is a secret for now.
Yeah. So we're at the siege at Riverrun again. And Jaime rides up and approaches a tent and goes in. And Edmure is in there, tied to a pole.
At least he's under a tent, unlike Jaime.
Yeah.
Was out outside.
So Jaime is apologizing for how the Freys have been treating him and everything like that, and assures him that he'll be, given treatment deserving of his position from now on, fed properly, clothed, etc. And he's like, "You have my word." And Edmure, again, just like the Blackfish, is like,
word of a Kingslayer.
Yeah. He's like, my uncle, the Blackfish, is never going to surrender, right? Like, whatever game you're playing, it's not going to work. And Jaime's like, yeah, the Blackfish is an old man. A good death is all he can hope for. But you, Edmure, you have a child now, I've heard. A son you sired on your wedding night. And
potent man.
Yeah. And I'm like, ooh, subtle threat. He's talking about Edmure's kid. Yeah. And Edmure kind of perks up.
When people bring up other people's children, that it's about to go down.
Yeah, leverage. Yeah, so Edmure perks up and he's like, what the fuck, Basically, he's like, yeah, son I've never met, born of a wife I haven't seen since our first night together. Matt, what a horrible scenario. I wonder what his wife's opinion on the whole like red wedding thing was.
She probably had no idea it was going to happen.
Yeah, probably. It sucks.
I don't think
sucks
so.
For both of them because they seemed pretty happy at the reception.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah. So Jaime first employs the carrot. He reaches out a hand with a carrot and he's like, you should be with them both, your wife and your son. I can arrange that. You realize comfortable rooms for you back at Casterly Rock. Your son can be brought up nicely and educated and trained and have all the luxuries that he could possibly want. A keep of his own when he comes of age. And Edmure changes the subject entirely and goes on an epic monologue rant against Jaime here. He's like, do you imagine yourself to be a decent person? Is that it? After your family has destroyed my family, you've stolen our lands and you've kept me locked up indefinitely. And Jaime, he has a pretty diplomatic response, actually. First of all, he didn't have anything to do with a red wedding or any of that, really. So most of it, at least. So he's like, I'll remind you that our houses are at war. I'm sorry if this conflict has inconvenienced you, but rebelling against the crown does have consequences. Which I thought was true hilarious. Statement. But so ironic, as Edmure points out, coming from the guy who rebelled against the crown himself, shoving his sword through the king's back, literally. Zing. And Jaime starts to lay down the law a little bit. He's like, did I give you the impression that this was a negotiation? It's not, okay? And he starts to squeeze him a little bit, or at least begins to, but Edmure cuts him off again and continues to rant about him. And he's like, first he calls him evil, and Jaime's like, I'll leave the judgment to the gods. Like you said, he's misunderstood. Like there's been ulterior motives for killing the king, for instance, that Edmure's unaware of. So the criticism doesn't necessarily bother him too much because he knows the truth. Although it does bother him, like the way that he's perceived by the public. He hates it.
Yeah, he definitely hates it.
Yeah. So Edmure's like, well, that's convenient, leaving the judgment to the gods. Like, you just do whatever you want and let the gods figure it out later, you asshole. And then he starts to go on about how he's jealous. He's like, you're a fine looking fellow, aren't you? Golden armor, square jaw. And he starts buttering up before totally attacking him. And he's like, how do you live with yourself?
I loved that.
Yeah, everybody has to believe that at some level that they're a decent person in order just to sleep at night. How do you tell yourself that you're decent after everything that you've done?
Maybe he doesn't sleep.
Yeah. Jaime never sleeps. He's Batman. No, he's Robin. So yeah, he probably does not sleep much at all.
There you go.
But even though this is probably bothering Jaime, like hearing these hurtful things, he manages to keep his cool and stay in control. And he starts moving in for the kill by bringing up Catelyn and how he was a prisoner of hers. And he kind of brings up how she hit him on the head with a rock, if he remembers correctly.
Yes.
And Edmure laughs at that. He's like, she should have killed you. That's what she should have done.
You with that rock.
Yeah. And Jaime's like, maybe she should have, but she didn't. And even though she hated me just as much as you do, she showed restraint. And he's like, you know what? Even through everything, like I didn't hate her. I actually admired her more than Ned or Robb or any of those people. And Edmure's starting to get pissed off as he's like, you think I care your opinions?
Yeah, nobody cares.
Right? Like, what the hell? And Jaime goes on. He has a funny point first. He's like, well, you're my prisoner, so it doesn't really matter if you care or not. You're going to hear it. But this is important. The love that she had for her kids, it reminded me of Cersei. It was amazing to me. I was in awe of it. And Edmure's like, oh, like, you're fucking crazy. This is
Catelyn reminds you of Cersei?
Like, you're nuts.
But it's kind of over what I think I had mentioned way, way, way far back, is they both have this fierce love for their kids. So this is kind of echoed here.
Yeah, it's exactly. That's totally what Jaime's saying. He's like, listen, your sister was, and Edmure like cuts him off. He's like, don't talk about Catelyn. He's super triggered at he starts squirming in his restraints on the pole. And Jaime's like, she was strong, like Catelyn loved her children. I suppose all mothers do, but Cersei and Catelyn, there was something special about it, a fierceness that's uncommon among mothers, something that really stood out, that they would do anything to protect their kids.
Totally.
And this is where he gets into the lists, things that people would do to protect their babies. Start a war, he says, which is like what Ned did to protect his sister, to try to save Lyanna. So that's like similar to what's going on now, how Cat and Robb launched a war to try to save Ned this time around. He says burning cities to ash, which is something that Cersei had said in his presence previously. Freeing their worst enemies, which is what Catelyn did for him, for the hope that he would follow through on his word and reunite her with Sansa and Arya. She freed her worst enemy, somebody responsible for, stabbing Ned in the street and everything like that. Yeah. Powerful message, and then he says the things we do for love. And he's talking about all these things, freeing your worst enemies, burning cities to ash, starting wars. But in that moment, he fails
to mention pushing a young boy out a window.
Well, I think that's what he's doing here. When he says the things we do for love, he's
remembering that.
Yeah, he's alluding to what he did himself. He's not fully disclosing it to Edmure, but he's remembering it and sort of including it in his list by mentioning it in code, by saying what he'd said at that moment. So I thought that was pretty just powerful, alluding to what he did, but in that same sentence, encompassing all of these other wild actions justified by love, evil things, wars and killings and letting criminals go, motivated by the purest of motivations, love, which is crazy. It's just wild, committing atrocities for love. And it's foreshadowing what he's about to do, which is threaten to commit an atrocity for love, so he can get back to his sister, basically.
He's going to do anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
And just talking about like doing wild stuff for love, it reminded me of Catelyn also grabbed that Valyrian steel blade, the cat's paw blade, in season 1 when the assassin tried to kill Bran.
Oh, yeah.
Another powerful thing for love.
There's crazy stories about like women lifting cars off their children.
Yeah, just fueled by adrenaline and stuff. Totally. Mm-hmm. So Edmure is like, what is this bullshit? Like, we didn't come here to talk about our sisters. And Jaime's like, that's where you're wrong. That's exactly why I came here. And he just outright admits it. Like this lets Edmure know just how serious Jaime is. He's like, I love Cersei. And just the fact that he's admitting to incest, that in itself is so serious that whatever he says after that, you better believe it. Like, you better take it seriously.
Yeah, he's admitting the rumor to Edmure here because everyone speculates.
Right.
Everyone assumes, but now it's made truth.
Right. So something with serious weight like that, you better listen, pay attention to what he says next,
I'm going to catapult your baby into a wall.
Yeah, he's like, I love Cersei. You can laugh at that if you want. You can sneer. It doesn't matter. She loves me. She needs me. And I'm going to get back to her no matter what it takes. I have to take Riverrun to do that. So if I have to kill every single one of the Tullys that are still alive to make that happen, I'm going to do it. I'll send for your son, your little baby boy, and I'll launch him with a catapult into the castle. And
so
Edmure
crazy.
is just like squirming here. He's
pissed.
so mad.
Yeah.
Jaime's like, because in the end, none of you matter. All that matters to me is Cersei, and I'll slaughter every single one of you to get back to her. If that's what I have to do, I'll do it. And the whole time that this monologue, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is so Tywin. This is like, I'll slaughter every one of you for my family. That's exactly like, this is the story of the Reigns of Castamere, basically, where Tywin erased 2 entire families, the Reigns and the Tarbecks, to maintain his family's position.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Jaime's talking about here, wiping out every Tully.
They also end up wiping out the Tyrells too.
Yes, they do.
So that's 3 great houses that the Lannisters have.
Yeah, it's definitely
ruined.
a trend, eliminating house after house. And they stole Casterly Rock from the Casterlys to start with too. That's never heard from them again.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much wraps up my number 1, I believe, is that whole speech there about threatening to do all these horrible things for love. And it just struck me how atrocities can be committed in the name of something so beautiful as love. It's horrible.
I know. It is. It's a horrible thought.
But it's also really powerful.
Truly.
Yeah. Pretty intense. So what's your number 1? Reveal the secret.
My number 1 is the Waif T1000.
Oh.
I had to do this last scene in Bravos because if I'm not mistaken, we don't go back there again.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it for Bravos up to current season 7, episode 7.
Yep.
So I had to kiss Bravos a farewell because I liked Bravos. I liked Arya's story here. So I'm just going to start at the beginning.
Perfect.
All of Bravos is kind of, or this part of Bravos is my number 1. So Arya's asleep. She's probably been sleeping for days because she's on Milk of the Poppy.
Yeah, who knows, right?
And Lady Crane, she seems like such a nice lady. She's taking care of her. She's going to get more Milk of the Poppy. I think that's what she's going to grab up on that stool.
Maybe.
And she hears a noise and she turns around and there's this creepy looking dude.
If even before she turns around, she steps up onto the stool and in the background, blurred out, we see the guy standing there. It's so creepy. I
remember that. I didn't catch that this time. I must have been taking a note or something. I do remember that though.
So creepy.
Really creepy. And she's kind of all like, the guy's kind of like standing funny.
Yeah.
Like out of a horror movie. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like head kind of tilted, arms like draped down, just standing there. I'm
like,
ooh.
yeah, you just know something's off.
Yes.
Like in the Sixth Sense at the beginning of the movie when he walks into the room and the guy's just standing there in like his underwear or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's a big thud and Arya jumps out. She's like Lady Crane, and you see a figure.
A shadow
disappear. And Arya's like, fuck, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, she gets up so fast.
So she starts getting out of bed and finds Lady Crane, who has had her throat slit. She's in rough shape.
Is she like impaled on that that stool?
No, I think he slit her, or the waif slit her throat, and she fell back onto the stool.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
That's what it looked like to me. I didn't see anything sticking out of her, but I could be wrong. I know her throat was slit, though. You can see that.
And the waif's like, if you had done she just appears again out of nowhere. And she's like, if you had done your job, she would have died painlessly. I'm like, wait. The MO of the House of Black and White, it seems like everybody's kind of supposed to die painlessly.
And you're the one like doing it wrong.
Yeah, I feel like the waif is rogue. She's like not operating the way that faceless men are supposed to.
And this is why I don't think Jaqen H'ghar is upset at the outcome at the end of this.
Yeah, it could be a piece of it for sure.
He told her to not let Arya suffer. She stabs her in the gut like 5 times, twists the knife, slices her open.
Yeah.
That's pretty painful. That's a very painful way to die. Totally. It's very slow.
And then just because Arya fucked up and didn't poison her doesn't mean that the waif has to kill her painfully. Like she could have also painlessly killed her.
She could have just poisoned her. Why don't you just take on the role? She's probably going to go back to the theater again. Like, why don't you just poison her rum? Because she was still drinking it.
Yeah.
So, like, she's definitely gone rogue. So the waif continues. She's like, the many-faced god was promised a name. He must always receive what is his. You can't change that. I can't change that. No one can. And now he was promised another name. Yeah. And Arya's like, I'm out. I'm going to jump off a freaking 2-story building, land on my feet with stab wounds, and take off running.
Yeah.
Go, girl.
That little monologue that the waif had, I thought was interesting because she's the first person, the third person.
Her grammar's all sorts of fucked up.
Right. So this is, again, another sign that she's rogue because the faceless men are total grammar Nazis. But she's like, the many-faced god always receives what's his. You can't change it. I can't change it. So those are both first, referring to people as having identities, basically. Like she refers to herself as I instead of as a girl or as no one. You can't change it. I can't change that the many-faced needs what he wants. No one can. I'm like, oh, so no one can change it. If you were no one, actually, you'd be able to change it then. And,
ooh, boom.
So the fact that she refers to herself as I and then says, I can't do something, but no one can, that tells me she's not no one. Because if she was no one, then she would be able to. Right? And then it also tells me that Jaqen at the end of the episode, who is no one for sure, he can change what the many-faced god receives. Mm-hmm. So if Arya can't change it and the waif can't change it, but no one can, that's what Jaqen does at the end of the episode when he lets her leave. He changes what the many-faced god has been promised to receive, it seems.
Well, I think in a way the debt is paid.
That as well. That as well.
I think Arya killing the waif, the many-faced god was appeased. He got the face, and probably the right face, just based off his reaction. I'm not really sure if he is necessarily letting her go. Or rather,
sending her on her mission.
He's letting her go because this is the way the story was meant to play out. This was Arya's path to begin with.
Seems like
so.
He smiles, like you finally, your training is complete type thing. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So then we get the
chase.
The chase,
and that when she jumps down and starts running, it made me think of like John Wick. I was like, damn, Arya heals faster than John Wick does. She's like stabbed so many times in the gut.
I know. I thought she was going to split open and start bleeding right then and there, but she doesn't.
Yeah.
So she starts running and then she slides under a cart. So I'm like, okay, well, now she has to be bleeding. She like slides down stone steps. On her stab wounds and now she's still not bleeding.
That looks so painful. Oh my God.
I feel like I love this scene so much, but at the same time, it's so out of context of how the other scenes in the show operate.
Right. It's so out there. And there's cool things about it. Like, obviously, we've made the T-1000 reference a million times where this is, it's mimicking the chase scene from Terminator 2 with the liquid metal T-1000. And it also made me think of a famous chase scene from the sort of cult favorite movie Ong Bak with Tony Jaa, where he's running through like a Thai market, kind of like this, jumping over stuff and like doing obstacle type escapes, and sort of similar to this chase scene with the way they're running around here.
So Arya goes under the cart. The waif jumps over the cart like a freaking track star.
Michael Johnson coming through.
Yeah. So she sees, she goes into like a sauna. It looks like, or like a steam room, and she's starting to freak out because now there's people around. So she doesn't know. There could be other faceless men after her. She knows the waif is behind her, but
who's in front of her?
she's like looking at all their faces, and they're all kind of looking at her, and she gets out and starts running again. And the waif, we get a picture of the waif behind as Arya turns the corner. We're like, fuck. So I don't think Arya realized that running off that little ledge was like this huge drop.
Oh, yeah.
I think she just was like running and thought maybe it'd be like a little drop, but it was quite a drop. So she falls onto more stone stairs and rolls down, just getting, at least her fall got caught a little bit by the oranges.
And did you pick up the movie reference that they're making here?
No.
There's a famous scene in, I think it's maybe Godfather Part 2, where the Godfather, Marlon Brando, gets gunned down in the street by an orange stand.
Oh, really?
By a fruit stand, and he falls over and knocks over a big crate of oranges that go rolling all over the Brooklyn, or like the New York street.
Crazy.
Yeah, I felt like all these oranges rolling down the steps here was an homage to The Godfather.
Oh, crazy.
Because they really focus in on all those oranges, a couple shots.
I've never seen The Godfather.
Oh man, good movies.
I was told to not watch The Godfather when I was younger because I was such a horse person.
Oh, yeah, you can watch it now. You'll be all right.
I can watch it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's honestly the reason. And then it was never a movie that I would like, oh, let's have a relaxing evening and watch The Godfather.
Yeah, right. Oh, and we mentioned with that line with Jon Snow, where Jon Snow's like, oh, they say keep your enemies close. And Stannis is like, whoever said that didn't have many enemies. And I was like, oh, that's a jab at The Godfather. Apparently, I think Sir Patrick wrote in and told us that keep your enemies close, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, originally basically comes from Sun Tzu's The Art of War. So if that's the case, then I was way off. Samsonite.
Slippy, slappy, Samsonite. I was way off.
Okay, so we continue with the epic chase, and she falls and she rolls and rolls and rolls, and we're starting to see bloody oranges and blood on the stairs, and people are yelling at her because she's fucking all their fruit up. Yeah, and the referee is counting 1, 2, 3 as she's lying on the canvas on her back. She grabs, she picks up her hand because it's on her stomach, and she's bleeding again. And it's like, she should have been bleeding 10 minutes ago, but okay, she's bleeding now. Yep. And the focus changes from being the camera focused on Arya in the foreground to morphing to being focused on the blurry figure in the background of the Terminator. Waif. Yeah. Standing at the top of the stairway like, I'm coming for you. Arya. Okay. So I have a question for you, because Arya has bloody hands at this point and she's touching things that she doesn't really need to touch. I know she's like, do you think she's leading the waif to her room? I absolutely do. Okay, I do too. Because when I first watched it, I was like, stop touching stuff, girl. Yeah, like, you're she's going to see the blood. Like Hansel and Gretel. You're leading her straight to you. So, but after like maybe the second or third time, I was like, maybe she's doing that on purpose so she can lure her where she has her weapon. Yeah, she's leading her into a controlled environment that Arya is familiar with and has weapons about and stuff like that. It's pretty slick, actually, the way she does that, because I'm wondering what percentage of her struggling at that last little part where she's stumbling through the halls and like leaving the bloody handprints. What percentage of that is actual struggling, and what percentage of it is acting to make the waif feel comfortable and confident? I like that you brought that up, because I have this in my notes. When she first got stabbed and was walking through the farmer's market, she was really cold, so she was shivering, because I think the water was really cold. Because she comes up, she was in shock, so she's shivering, and she's walking okay there. I mean, she's definitely hurt, but this scene, I would think she would be in better shape than the first time, because she's just opened up already kind of like healing wounds versus fresh cut wounds that are bleeding a lot. So I thought I made a note that, I just made a note that she seems extremely ill all of a sudden. She hasn't been bleeding that long from her fall, and she seems very weak.
Yeah, she may be giving the waif a false sense of confidence.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up. That actually, I agree with that for sure after thinking about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Before we get to this point too, though, there's that funny scene where Arya is walking along and she looks up and sees the waif like running along the top of that.
And she keeps like
wall.
Moving her legs as she falls
Flies
down.
through the air, like
she's like running through the air.
Yeah, like those Olympic jumpers that like run and jump to the long jump. They're always like running in the air still.
What a fun scene to act in.
Yeah, and I bet the waif, the actress, I bet she loved it too, because she's getting to do all these cool homages to famous movies like here, T-1000, Terminator 2. A couple episodes ago, we brought up how she was emulating Neo in The Matrix with her master kung fu speed and stuff like that. So what a fun role to play as the actress.
Yeah, it's a fun role to play, but it's not a fun role in the fact that no one likes you.
Right, yeah, it sucks, unfortunately for her.
Kind of like Joffrey.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy and so personable, apparently, out in the real world. And he's just like hated. Yeah,
he was really nice when I met him, for sure. He was super nice.
Apparently, he doesn't act anymore.
Yeah. I think I heard he may be doing something new sometime soon.
Oh, I would hope so, because he's very good.
Yeah, I'm not sure, though. Don't quote me on that. I'm not even going to include that into the podcast unless I research it.
So... what did you think? Do you think Arya purposely cut out the candle?
Oh, yeah. Totally. No question.
I love that.
It's because she had just been learning how to fight in the darkness, right? Blind.
That's what I thought too, is she learned how to fight blind. Mm-hmm. So she's off pure instinct. So she doesn't want to see the waif coming at her. She knows she'll beat her in the dark.
Yeah. And the waif is used to fighting in the light. I mean, she may have had this blind training at some point, but it probably wasn't recently. So it's a gamble, but it's at least manipulating the environment to throw the waif off potentially a little bit, get her off of her game, mix it up a little.
The way the camera's angled, sometimes I go back and forth every once in a while, but I'm pretty sure it's on purpose.
The way I saw it is that she stands up straight, holds needle directly in front of her face, like bisecting her face, holding it right in front of her. And while the blade is right in front of her nose, she closes her eyes and then she swings her arm down into like a fighting stance simultaneously cuts the candle. But her eyes are already closed, so she's already in darkness when she cuts the candle, and then it just suddenly immerses the waif into darkness as well. And Arya, has the advantage, hopefully. Pretty slick. And
I had this feeling from the beginning that she was going to survive. She was going to be the one that comes out on top.
Yeah, hopefully.
I just knew we couldn't lose Arya to the waif.
Yeah, and especially to make sense because it was so recently that Arya was fighting the waif in hand-to-hand combat as a blind girl and learning the waif's moves and her patterns.
And she finally
cracked it, So Arya has like potentially the single combat advantage against the waif at this point. And adding darkness as an element just amplified any advantage that Arya would have had theoretically.
Definitely. So we cut back over to the House of Black and White. And Jaqen H'ghar sees some blood on the floor.
Yes, he does.
And he gets curious. I love that staircase with the braziers on the staircases. They're like low to the ground and not like up, standing up.
Love it.
Or hanging. It's just such it's great juxtaposition from Dany's throne room, which have the braziers up high.
Oh, the hanging things?
They hang from the ceilings. They're like big chandeliers. So these ones are kind of down on the ground, and all the candles. Oh my God, I love the House of Black and White. The candles encircling the pillars on the floor.
Really cool looking.
So creepy and gorgeous and mysterious. So he follows the trail of blood down the stairwell and into the Hall of Faces and slowly looks up. And I remember being a first-time viewer watching this, and I'm like, please don't let it be Arya. Please don't let it be Arya.
Yeah, is it going to be Arya's face on the wall?
It has to be the waif. It has to be the waif. And it is the waif, but she's bloody still, which I
Yeah.
thought was such a great choice for Arya because they take such time and care to clean the bodies. Like that's a part of the ritual.
Yeah, it's kind of hinting like your ways are not for me. Like I'm done with your ways.
Yeah.
For the faceless men. Like
Yes. So Jaqen H'ghar turns around and Arya's there
yup.
with needle.
Oh yeah, drawn.
You told her to kill me. And he goes, yes, but here you are, and there she is. And you know, finally your training's done. You're finally no one. And she's like, oh, no. A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home. And I'm like, yes, she's going back to
finally.
Westeros.
So epic. And when she says that too, she's like, a girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home. And Jaqen, like, he smiles. But it's interesting. She's like, you told her to kill me. And Jaqen admits it, and Arya walks up and pushes needle right against his chest, and he walks into it, pushes back against her.
Yep, he leans into it.
Yeah, so epic. Kind of like, it reminded me of Khal Drogo in season 1.
He pushes into the Iraq.
Into the Eric, yeah.
How do you say it?
I'm not sure. I say Eric, but I've heard
Eric?
it Iraq as well.
Arik?
Arik, yeah.
I said Iraq, so that's wrong.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's not. I'm not really sure what the precise pronunciation is. I've heard it, multiple ways. But yeah, it just sort of remindfully like pushes his chest into the blade even further, just showing how badass he is. That was a great homage to Drogo, which I only just now realized. But did anything about this scene stick out to you?
How so?
Well, I noticed Arya doesn't seem to be in pain.
I think she drank some of the water.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Like, finally, we have potentially an answer to the mystery of how Arya was healed so quickly. Remember, if you're someone, right, the water will kill you. So
yep.
When Arya drinks the water and it takes away her blindness, apparently we discovered that the water can heal you if you're no one. So it seems like, I don't know what the deal is here.
Maybe she really did become no one, even though she calls herself Arya Stark, because she has a load of faces in her bag up in Winterfell that Sansa finds. So clearly she's been given access to the faces, unless she stole them.
Yeah, which is also entirely possible. But either way, I thought it was really interesting that Jaqen calls her no one. And maybe she has achieved, like, maybe once you've become no one, you can be anyone you want, basically.
That's what I think, because he does go by Jaqen H'ghar.
Yeah.
Like, he has to,
sometimes at least.
They're no one, but they do have names, that they can choose. And maybe that's what she's choosing at this point. Like, you've fulfilled your training here. Now a girl is no one. And she's like, well, a girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home. That's her new story. That's her duty now as a faceless man.
Maybe.
To go back up to Winterfell.
Pretty interesting.
And kill Walder Frey.
Yeah. Because she doesn't say, no, I'm not no one. She says, I'm Arya Stark. A girl is Arya Stark. But it's just interesting. Like, if you're someone, the water from the well poisons you. If you're no one, it seems to heal you. So,
well, I thought they focus in on the pool, and if I'm not mistaken, the little bowl is sitting on the ledge, and Jaqen H'ghar walks by it as he's following the pool of blood.
There you go. If the bowl's there, it makes sense.
Almost 100% the bowl is there.
Because we've been wondering, how did Arya survive? And she gets back to Westeros, and she doesn't seem to be injured or anything like that. And I've considered it a weak point in the writing of the series. But if she drank some of this water and it healed her, then that would explain how she's a gut wound like that could take a couple days to kill you. So if she can deal with the pain from the milk of the poppy, for instance, she could go on this whole Terminator chase thing and do all this crazy stuff and then get to the pool just in time to drink it and cure her of what would otherwise be a mortal wound.
Yeah, I think she drank it. I think she's a part of the Faceless Man Brotherhood now.
Damn, that's hardcore. So maybe she is no one.
I really do think she's truly no one, because the more I think about her back in Westeros, she's not in fear of people chasing her. She has a bag of faces with her. So she either stole them, and I think if she stole them, she'd be a little bit more cautious about using them. So I think they were issued to her.
It's possible.
Like, because, I mean, Jaqen H'ghar was in Westeros. Why can't she go back and be a faceless man there?
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. I would like to know the listener's perspective. Do you guys think that Arya is no one and has assumed has chosen to be Arya? Or do you think that she's really Arya and never was no one? And if that's the case, then how did she survive drinking the poison when it cured her blindness? And did she drink the poison water this time?
Do you think Arya is no one, or like completed her no one training and is truly no one, or is not and she stole the faces?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Wonder. So since the waif says that Arya can't change who the many-faced god will get, she can't change who the many-faced god will get. No one can. But then Arya does. She decides not to kill Lady Crane and instead kills the waif. Arya has effectively changed who was given to the many-faced god. So maybe taking it into your own hands and making the decision for yourself is what no one does, because no one decides who the many-faced god is gifted, right? So maybe the fact that she made up her own mind means that she is no one. So either way, Jaqen doesn't seem unhappy with this at all. He smiles as she turns to leave. And that's the last we see of Braavos.
Do you think we'll see it in season 8?
I do not.
I don't think so either.
Yeah,
I think this is the last time.
I don't think we'll be back in Essos at all next season.
Unless, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, at all? You don't think at all?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why we need to be in Essos at all. What do we need to do? Check up on Dario? That doesn't seem that important.
It's true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Like everybody's in Westeros now.
Mm-hmm. I think they're going to all flee. The people that survive are going to flee to these cities because there's water in between them.
Yeah, maybe. Did we see Essos at all in season 7?
No. I don't believe so.
Yeah, there you go. I think we're done over there.
I think we're done.
Damn.
Unless they start fleeing because there's a huge body of water between Essos and Westeros.
Right.
Dany might say, fuck it, I'm going to fly Drogon back to my pyramid.
Yeah, fuck.
And wait out the winter there.
The Night King can have Westeros.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all I had for my number 1.
All right, so let's move on to notes.
Notes. We're back at the play.
We are. Lady Crane with her new monologue.
Her new anger monologue, which is super powerful.
Super great. I love where the transition where she's like, the Father above beckons you into his hall. In 7th heaven, I'll see you once more. And then that's when it like gets intense. But now I seek vengeance on Sansa the whore. Oh, I was like, damn.
Oh my God, they called Sansa a whore. Yeah, she's like the most virtuous person on the planet.
That's what I thought was funny too. I was like, I doubt Arya realized or would have wanted her script change to result in her sister being called a whore, but the point comes across.
Yes.
Hilarious. I love that. Or maybe it wouldn't even bother Arya because she didn't really like Sansa beforehand.
Yes, her monologue is much better this time around.
Yeah, she added some really cool prose, like, but now I seek vengeance on Sansa the whore and my brother the imp who killed his own king, born amongst lions, our curse from within. I will slay him, I swear, with noose or with knife, though it take me a fortnight, a moon, or my life.
So poetic.
And she sells it so hardcore. I love there's clips of like the audience members just weeping and crying, and
yeah,
even guys with their lips quivering and tears like flowing down their faces and stuff.
And she's really crying too.
Yeah, at the end when she stands up to take her bow and everything, she has to wipe her eyes because she really like got into it as well. And I think she might even scan the crowd looking for Arya to see if Arya's there to take note of her new monologue that she inspired.
Oh yeah, this is before she's sick. That's right.
Yeah, so she goes back into backstage after the show and takes a swig of rum and hears something and discovers that's Arya bleeding out behind the rack. And Arya, this tells us Arya must not have seen the waif inside of the backstage area here. Because otherwise Arya would have known this is not a safe place to come to.
No.
And then we get, she's been stitched up by Lady Crane. And this was, I thought, kind of dumb, like the explanation here of how she's so good at.
Yeah, I thought that was really unnecessary dialogue.
Yeah, curing these like 4-inch deep puncture wounds. I don't think so.
Yeah, because she used to get jealous and stab her men.
Yeah,
and then cheat on her, and then she would feel bad. I'm like, what? Okay.
Yeah, it didn't really make much sense. Another bit of clunky dialogue, which is probably some of the weakest in the entire series. And it
just is not necessary.
Yeah, it's just like an attempt to rationalize this insane wound that Arya got. Like that she could somehow survive it.
Sew it up.
Yeah, and it's just no. Anybody that knows anything about surgery and the different layers of skin and muscles,
are no joke.
Yeah, you gotta get sutured up on multiple levels.
Yeah, you have inner stitches. You don't just stitch it up.
Yeah, exactly. My grandfather worked for the team of people that developed dissolvable sutures for surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is kind of cool. So since she asks about the actress Bianca who wanted Lady Crane killed,
she got beat the fuck up.
Yeah. Good luck finding work as an actress after what I did to your face, bitch.
I know, it's like you should see the other person.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Lady Crane is a badass, apparently, stabbing people and destroying people's faces.
She's a great actress and a terrible cook. We've come to find out. She never came to cook.
Yeah. But she's trying to do it for Arya at least, which is nice.
And this is where we start getting the looking into the future curse. Once we start looking into the future, we know that something's going to happen.
Right.
You should come with us. You would be a great actress. Like, come join our team. Like, we can go to Pentos together.
She's like, nah.
Arya's like, I don't think I could remember all the words.
AKA, like, she's not openly saying it, but she's like, I'm kind of done like pretending to be other people.
No one. Yeah. So
she talks about traveling west, farther than Westeros, to the edge of the world, sort of symbolizing how she lives on the edge.
So do you think their world is round or flat?
That's round. That's just how planets are. I don't buy any. No.
Oh, I don't either. But I was just thinking in the context of this world.
That's what I mean. Like the physics of your universe are faulty if you write a story with a flat Earth.
Yes. What's west of? So no one's ever gone west of Westeros. But wouldn't they just hit Essos?
If they go far enough, yeah. Unless there's some unknown continent like the Americas over there on the other side of the planet. Yeah.
Oh, spin-off.
Yeah. Westeros.
West of West.
Westeros. Like Dumb and Dumberer.
Middleos.
Yeah.
It's in between.
Yeah. Centros.
So, milk of the poppy.
Yep.
It looks very thick and goopy.
Goops.
She's like, Arya's like, I don't want that. The freaking waif is after me. If I have to run, I need to be able to run. I can't like sleep all day. She's like, this is honestly what the body needs. Like, you do need to sleep.
It's like that part in John Wick where he gets the pain medicine that doesn't mess with his head, but stops the pain receptors so he can run and fight, but he's still like lucid and not all drugged out. Even though he has these grievous wounds and stitches and stuff.
Yeah. So Arya decides to drink it and she falls peacefully to sleep.
Yeah, but not before she warns Lady Crane that she can't come acting with her because she's being hunted by someone without a name. And the Lady Crane would be in danger if she brought Arya.
Do you think Lady Crane is aware of the faceless men in Bravos?
Well, she lives in Bravos, so I assume that she is.
Well, they're in Bravos right now. They're
right.
They're a traveling show, so we don't really know if that's her home.
People probably know about the faceless men, right?
Yeah, so I think if Arya says to her, she doesn't have a name, like that would clue in Lady Crane.
It's that's a big hint. Maybe Arya visiting the edge of the world could also, and how she's like excited about it and wants to see it. Maybe that could foreshadow her visiting the almost end of the world as opposed to the edge of the world with the White Walkers infiltrating Westeros.
Nice. I like that.
Because she doesn't know about that at all yet. So she's looking for excitement and living on the edge, so to speak, the edge of the world. She's going to get it.
She's going up to Winterfell. She's going to be right in the midst of it.
Yeah, totally.
Nice. So I think that's it. Farewell to Bravos for this scene.
Yeah. Just one other funny line where she's like, trust me, if my soup didn't kill you, nothing will. Like, you can drink this milk of the poppy and nothing's going to kill you. And her lying there in bed injured when she's falling asleep made me think of Ned lying in bed in season 1 after he was stabbed with the spear through the leg.
Yeah,
kind of looked similar, their hair and everything.
Yeah, and she was known to look like her dad more than her mom.
Yeah, true.
In the books, at least.
Yeah, and with recollections of Lyanna Stark as well.
Yeah, like...
she looks more like a Stark than a Tully.
Yeah, Bran and Sansa and Rickon and Robb all look more like the Tullys. They have like reddish hair in the books, and she has brown hair like her dad.
She and Jon
so
are
does
both
Jon.
Stark. Yeah. Stark stock.
Yeah, so I think we're taking a dragon to Meereen next. And we're in I guess like a marketplace. We get 2 marketplaces.
We do.
So now we're in the Meereen marketplace, and we hear the Red Priestess talking.
Pumping Dany.
Yeah, she is it, people. Get on board.
Pump the jam. Pump it up.
Nice 90s dance music. Love it.
So what's next?
We get Tyrion and Varys.
Sweet.
And so I totally glossed over this scene, probably the first 5-10 times I watched this.
Oh, yeah.
Because I would always say to myself every time, where is Varys going? And then we cut over to Dorne, and he's randomly there. I'm like, how the fuck did Varys get there? And I always forget about this scene.
Special diplomatic mission, of course.
Yeah, so he's going to Dorne. That's where he's going right now. And I finally, after a very long time, made that connection. So maybe I'm just slow, but...
That's funny. He walks out of the shadows dramatically, revealing after all the time we spent wondering where he was going.
And he says fire and blood.
Yes.
That's what he says to Ilaria when he walks out of the shadows in Dorne. I'm so excited for that.
Like telling us that we're hooking you up with the Dragon Queen.
But I remember vividly looking at Dave and I'm like, how is he in Dorne? He was just in Meereen.
That's the best.
Oh man, I'm dense sometimes, but what are you going to do? It's all right.
It's all good.
It's all right.
Tyrion's bragging about how successful this whole endeavor with the religion has been.
He's like, look around you. Her name is everywhere. It's working. There's people are back in the marketplace. No one's afraid. No one's hiding.
Yeah. And I thought Varys brought up an interesting point. You said, you made a pact with fanatics. And I was like, wow, it totally mirrors what Cersei tried to do in King's Landing. I didn't even think about that before this rewatch.
Oh, yeah.
Where they've both sort of empowered this
religious fanatics.
Yeah, these fanatical religious sects in their city. And we haven't seen it come back to bite Tyrion. But then again, the Lord of Light is the only god we've actually seen any evidence of. Mm-hmm. So if one of these fanatics are following an actual god or, something real, it seems like it's, the red priests.
Maybe
basically.
They're not fanatics then.
Well, even if you're whether it's true or not, you're still pretty fanatical about it.
That's true.
Yeah. So Tyrion's all stoked about how it worked. And I like Varys has they have a cool little back and forth here. Tyrion's bragging about how it worked. And Varys is like, if you shaved your beard with a straight razor, you'd say the razor worked. That doesn't mean it won't cut your throat. And Tyrion says, spoken like a man who never has to shave. But that also made me think of what happened with Cersei and how she, her straight razor basically came back to cut her throat,
Yeah. Well, and also when she was getting her head shaved, they were cutting her.
Yeah.
Like when they were cutting all her hair off, they were nicking her shoulders and her head and she was bleeding.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a razor involved with the Cersei as well. That's good catch for that. It's kind of cool. Symbolic.
So Tyrion's like, we need our queen back right now. Yeah. But before that, we find out that Varys is going on a mission. He's leaving. He's going on an expedition.
Yeah, and Tyrion is so sad to have Varys leave.
He's broody.
Yeah, he's like that whole Star Wars part. He's like, I'm going to miss you. Varys,
I know.
Yeah. So funny. I was like, wow, he's like really, he's upset. And then after they separate and he goes off, Tyrion walks off and he's really brooding. Like you said, he's like, he looks super, super sad. It's like, my best friend just left.
Yeah. So we'll see Varys again soon, but for now it's bon voyage.
Bon voyage, Varys.
What's your next note? Are you at River Run?
Yes, back at River Run with Brienne.
Brienne and Brandon.
Yes. I think there was something else. There's a funny part we skipped before when we talked about Brienne and Pod arriving at River Run, where Podrick is like Captain Obvious from those commercials. They're overlooking the siege encampment.
It's like, my lady, riders are approaching.
Yeah. Well, before that, he's like, looks like a siege, my lady.
Oh yeah.
And Brienne's like, you have a keen military mind, Pod.
You're a quick one there, Pod.
Classic little moment. But yeah, next we're with Brienne and Brynden, the Blackfish, as Brienne is pleading her case to
two stubborn warriors going at it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Very similar, aren't they?
They are very similar, which is why I think a couple episodes back, Sansa says you'll know how to talk to him.
Maybe.
Because at first he completely writes her off, but then he actually reads the letter.
Right. And we were wondering.
She gets him to read the letter.
Yeah, she does. It's pretty impressive. What she says really strikes him.
Because he goes on to say to Brienne, I don't know you. I haven't seen Sansa in years. I don't know her signature. I'm not reading this letter. So for him to open it up and read it and realize, wow, she's just like her mom. He knows in that moment that it's true, that this is Sansa.
It's so funny. Yeah. And those are all such good points that he's making too. Like this could easily be a ploy. Like Ramsay's ploys against Theon and stuff were more complicated than this. This could easily be like from the Kingslayer. He's on edge with Jaime outside lurking. So he's.
He even says like later on, he's like, I have a feeling they're going to try something tonight.
Right, a couple seconds later. So he's on edge. He thinks this could easily be like a ploy, like I was saying. And she goes on this epic rant, like this epic monologue, which kind of changes his mind and convinces him to read the letter, which is pretty cool. But we learn that Brynden knows Brienne's father here.
Yes, and that Brienne's father speaks highly of her, which was nice to hear because he was so against her becoming like a warrior. He wanted her to be a lady. He tried so hard. We get that her monologue about the ball where Renly kind of saved, was her saving grace. Mm-hmm. So it could have very well been that her father kind of like disowned her. But we find that he speaks highly of his daughter, which I thought was awesome. And
Brynden seems to like still be in touch with him. So they seem to like be friends. He doesn't say like, oh, I knew your father. He says, I know your father.
Maybe that's where he's been hiding.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So the Blackfish points out that Brienne is wearing a sword with a lion's head on the hilt. Right.
Because Brienne denies that Jaime is his friend or her friend.
I think Brienne needs to change the hilt of the sword.
Isn't that hilarious?
I've been looking at Lannister gold my entire life.
Yeah. All these times where something really positive could happen and people lose trust in her immediately because of the hilt of her sword.
Which is so funny because it's called Oathkeeper. That's what it's called.
Yeah, true. So ironic. So he's making the point that River Run can last much longer than her one-handed friend Jaime thinks. That they can withstand the siege for quite some time. And that's when Brienne says he's not my friend, and he brings up the sword and everything like that, right?
Yeah, and so she gives him the reason why. Jaime gave her the sword to protect Sansa, and he gave it to me to protect her. This is what I have done, and I'm going to continue protecting Sansa, which is your family, till the day I die.
Yeah, he kept his word to Catelyn.
Yes, he kept his word for sure. So she hands him the piece of paper,
right?
too.
And he just seems like stunned by this. Like he's like so shocked by this revelation that the Kingslayer may have done something positive and created this positive charge for Brienne, basically. And so he actually decides to read it, which is pretty amazing. Brienne dropping truth bombs.
Yeah, and he goes, she's exactly like her mother, but I don't have enough men to help her. And Brienne's like, well, you have more than she does. And I love it. He kind of throws it back in her face. She's like, he goes, she wants her home back. I understand that. That's like exactly what we're doing here. I'm protecting my home.
But the thing is, he's not Lord of Riverrun, so...
But as far as he knows, Edmure is still in captivity at this moment.
Right, so he would be the rightful lord if Edmure were eliminated, essentially.
Yeah, and at this point, he's kind of written Edmure off.
Yeah, he's like, just kill him. I want Riverrun. That's why he was so easily quick to saying, just slit his throat. Take him.
Yeah, slit his throat. I don't give a crap.
Hilarious.
So Brienne can't really argue with that. That's exactly what's happening in Riverrun. That's exactly the reason he gave her not to leave. And that's exactly the reason why she's there, to help Sansa get her ancestral home back. So it's kind of like, fuck, I failed.
And she knows it's futile at this point. Yeah.
Tell Sansa, send a raven.
Yeah. And she's pretty brutally honest. She's like, just tell her I failed. And she's like her own harshest critic. You know what I mean?
She is, for sure.
Brutal moment.
So, that's all I have for that scene. How about you?
Yep. We'll come back to meet them again in a little bit, I guess. Next, we have drinking games, drinking with Tyrion and Grey Worm and Missandei.
He's always trying to get them to drink, and finally they do.
Yeah, it's
they
hilarious.
Finally drink with Tyrion.
He's such a bad influence. Peer pressuring the shit out of him.
Missandei's like, I've had a glass of wine before. Grey Worm's like, it tastes like it's turned, and he goes, that's the point. Fermentation.
Fermentation. And yeah, Missandei was like, I've had it before. It made me feel funny.
Because that's how you know it's working. So, cheers to our queen. Anyone who's not drinking is disrespecting our queen. So they're like
great too.
Sipping it.
And he told Grey Worm, he's like, well, if you're only not drinking because of the rules, who wrote those rules? The masters? They didn't want you to be human. Have a drink with me. I love that logic. Like, they were dehumanizing you, giving you, eliminating the simple pleasures of life.
Yeah. Grey Worm's like, okay, I'm going to have a drink. And then he starts in on them. Tell me a joke.
Yeah, just right into it.
Because he's always like, let's play a game. Tell me a joke. He's always trying to get them to lighten up.
Yeah, totally.
And he's always so awkward with them. And so we get the three lords walk into a tavern, a Stark, a Martell, and a Lannister. They order ale. The Lannister is pissed off that there's a bug, and the Martell plucks the fly out of it and swallows it whole. And the Stark wants the fly to spit out the ale.
Yeah.
Spit it out, you wee shit.
So it's like the Lannisters are stuck up and entitled. The Martells are casual, undaunted by taboo.
Yep.
And
free spirits.
Yeah, Missandei smiles at that line about plucking out the fly and eating it whole. She's kind of laughing. She seems to be slightly buzzing already, Mm-hmm. And then the Starks are to the letter, plain, conservative.
I got it as they drink a lot too, because they look at the fly and he says, spit it out. I want every last drop.
Oh, I was thinking more along the lines of not wasting anything, no extra expenditures.
Yeah.
Making sure that they get the most out of everything,
And they don't laugh. And Tyrion's like, are those crickets that I hear?
Right. And we get a brief moment before that too, where Tyrion is having visions of the future, dreaming about the future, which make me nervous for his existence. Remember, he's like, one day, after our queen has taken the 7 kingdoms, I'd like to have my own vineyard, make my own wine.
The Imp's Delight.
Yeah, what a classic name, right?
Only for my friends.
Yeah, I love also how he'd limit it and restrict it to his close friends. Hilarious. But yeah, hopefully that's not a bad sign.
Yep. So Missandei she's like, I'm going to try to tell a joke.
She has a pretty good one too. I was impressed.
I laughed.
Yeah, me too.
But Tyrion does that, like, what?
Right.
And I love Grey Worm here. That is the worst joke I ever heard.
Right, and I was
She's
like,
you don't even know what a joke is.
Yeah, shots fired. Right. He's like, I've been in the military my whole life. You think I don't know about jokes?
You lied. I make joke.
Grey Worm's hilarious.
And then cue the bells. Oh my God. And the white sails come into the harbor, and Missandei looks over at Tyrion and she goes, the masters have come for their property.
Fuck. And Tyrion was so excited about having, secured the city and all this. But as we learned at the Dosh Khaleen, since they had been negotiating tens of thousands of horses in exchange for Dany with the Free Cities, theoretically, the Free Cities were aware that Dany had been captured. So they sent a fleet to Meereen to try to take it back. This is their chance, basically.
Yep, they're taking a chance.
Yeah, this is their big shot. Tyrion also tries to employ his honeycomb brothel jackass joke again.
Which we never get the end to. We've heard the start of this joke like 2 or 3 times in the series, and we've never heard the ending. So I'm hoping we hear the ending in season 8.
Yeah, I bet we'll never will, though. Probably something we'll never learn. Totally.
I agree with that.
So funny. So, yeah, I totally forgot about this whole like war that's happening here, basically, with all the catapults launching everything at the ships and everything.
They're
like that.
setting Meereen on fire.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy. We can just talk about that part right now if you want.
Sure. So the master's fleets are launching the fiery balls at the pyramid.
Yeah, right. All the catapults, like everything is just being launched into the city, and Tyrion's apologizing hilariously. He's like,
I admit it, I was wrong.
I was wrong. And Grey Worm's getting all pissed. He's like, no, you don't know what to do with the army. He's like, the army will not go to the coast.
I'm taking over now.
Yeah,
we're gonna stay in the pyramid.
Yeah, we got to hold down the fort, basically.
Yeah, we're no use out there.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom! Something like nails the pyramid up high, and I was thinking, oh man, one of the catapults just connected.
Mm-hmm. But that's what I thought too.
Yeah, then we hear like what sounds like steps, like someone like walking down the pyramid, and it's Drogon walking down, and all of a sudden Dany comes into the pyramid like a true hero's entrance into the penthouse.
She's had a bath.
Yeah, she has. She looks all fresh and everything, and comes in and she looks pissed off.
She looks right at Tyrion too.
Yeah, and he looks like a bit intimidated and nervous, and oh yeah, she's mad. She's like, what the hell happened?
And Tyrion is like palm to face.
Yeah, but she should have expected it, because I mean, shit was hitting the fan when she got whisked away also.
I think that's why she doesn't get super upset with Tyrion. I think she is mature enough at this point to understand that he was doing his best with the situation that she literally just flew out of. Yeah,
he'd walked into a shitstorm.
The last time she saw him, they were surrounded by the Sons of the Harpy.
Yeah.
For all she know, that until
I'm
dead. Sure Jorah and Dario told her that they all survived, but
right.
Up until then, she didn't know if he was dead or alive. So the fact that he's been trying, I think, saves his ass here.
Yeah.
And knowing what she left him with, and I believe she acknowledges that in a episode or 2 from now to him. Like, I realize I left you with like a shit show.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I don't remember that, but I don't doubt its existence.
I'm pretty sure she says it in passing, like, I knew I left you with like a difficult task. So
right. Yeah,
like,
I think
let's
I remember that.
Move on from that. Like, what do we do now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to kick you out. I'm not going to kill you. I'm a little upset that this is happening, but I left you with like chaos, and I, shouldn't be upset.
Yeah.
So enters Dany, and I love how the Unsullied stop and they bow, and everyone's like, It's Dany. She's back in Meereen. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's like a moment, like a huge moment when she walks in and everyone's just like, oh my God, there she is. Entering through the penthouse balcony.
And she's back in Meereen. Like when I first watched it, I was like, yes, Dany's out of Meereen. And now she's back in Meereen.
That's true. Fuck.
So is she going to stay there forever? I think at this point, that's what I was thinking when it was the first time view. I'm like, I don't think.
Oh God, she's back. We're never getting out of here.
Going to ever go to Westeros.
Yeah, totally.
In fact, I'm almost positive.
Thankfully she sails west in just a couple episodes.
Yeah.
2 episodes from now.
I can't wait.
I know. It's going to be so good.
Da, da, da. My favorite. The dragon's like screeching, flying ships.
So next we're back at River Run, right? With Edmure. Edmure crossing the little bridge towards the drawbridge.
Being a bitch.
Yeah.
Drinking out of cups. Being a bitch.
Seriously, they just let you go. Why are you following directions? They just let you go. You're going back to your ancestral home. You guys have provisions for 2 years. You have an army. Like, why would you give up the castle?
Only to save his baby son's life, which may or may not exist.
But I mean, does Jaime know where said baby is? Is he at the twins?
Jaime is the all powerful at this point from Edmure's perspective. He doesn't have much choice but to buy what he says.
I know, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like...
Well, think about this, right? Ready? Family, duty, honor. What comes first?
Family. I get it. Believe me, I get it. If someone were going to threaten my kid, I would probably do the same thing in that situation. However, from a show perspective,
right.
It would have been kind of a cool twist. And
oh yeah.
But we don't know where the baby is. Where is the baby? Is it, I'm assuming she's at the twins with the baby.
Yeah, I am not sure.
Because she's a Frey.
It would make sense.
I mean, I don't think she ever left the twins. He left the twins to go or be in a dungeon somewhere. Or he was in the dungeon at the twins.
Yeah, for most of the time until he got moved to River Run for the siege purposes.
So Jaime probably does know where the baby is, but do you think Walder Frey would let Jaime? Oh, probably, because he doesn't give a crap about his grandkids. He has like hundreds of them. So yeah, I'm talking myself out of my own theory.
It's hilarious.
Give up the castle, save your baby.
Yeah. That's what he does. He goes with the old house words, family, duty, honor.
It's so hard to watch though, because the Blackfish is like, no, you guys, like, do not let him in. Mm-hmm. Do not let him in.
But at the same time, it's his castle. He's the Lord of Riverrun. He can do what he wants with it. He can turn it over to...
I demand entry.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting.
You are not the lord of this castle, my lord.
Yeah. Like, what are the guards? They're just not going to let the Lord of Riverrun in?
He has a duty, and I think he feels really bad because I think in the bottom of his heart, he kind of knows, but he's like, I can't obey you.
Yeah, and I feel like he does respect the Blackfish as well. He just like, he's caught between a rock and a hard place there, you know?
Yeah, and then they're like, lower the bridge, and but the Blackfish is just like, you guys are fucking stupid.
Yeah, so dumb.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, so Edmure walks in and...
Black Walder makes a point to Jaime. If you're wrong, we just surrendered our most valuable prisoner.
Right. And that's when it kicked into me that releasing Edmure kind of mirrored Kat's releasing Jaime, where if Jaime didn't follow through and try to protect Sansa and Arya, then she just let go of their most valuable prisoner. Same thing with what Jaime did here. So it's interesting that Kat's willingness to let Jaime go and trust him maybe influenced Jaime's decision here to let Edmure go and trust him.
Yeah, and I think he knows that Edmure's not a very strong character, like doesn't have a strong backbone. So it would be highly unlikely for a character like Edmure to say one thing and actually that kind of goes into their oath too. Family, duty, honor. He's giving Jaime his word.
Right.
So, and he's carrying out the duty, and then he's honoring the pact that he made with Jaime.
Yeah. And like you said about not having a backbone, they don't call him the floppy fish for nothing. He doesn't really have any strong bones.
Yeah. So
floppy fish.
Bone. The flaccid fish.
Yeah. Even that bone's not very strong.
Apparently he can get a virgin pregnant though. So.
Oh, true. He is potent.
So then we get the drawbridge lowering and the Lannister soldiers marching in. And I did notice, because we were talking about Jaime's armor last episode, and I kept looking at it this episode too. I'll say like the footmen in the army do not have those gold lions on their shoulders.
Oh, interesting. Nice.
So I think because he's the commander of the army, he has the golden lines. His armor is just a little bit more robust.
Yeah. Oh,
in
man.
Color and design. But they're very close. They have the same look. They just don't have the intricate lion details.
Right,
they have gold shoulders and a red breastplate.
Makes sense. That's for like the family gets the iron, like the golden lions and stuff.
Yeah.
Tywin's book armor, he's got like a giant lion on top of each shoulder.
And doesn't he have like a really long red cloak that like drapes to the floor off his horse?
Red gold. Yeah. It covers the whole back of the horse and goes all the way to the ground.
I love that.
Super gangster. So Edmure makes eye contact with Brynden and then walks right to the top of the battlements and orders everybody to lay down their arms and open the gates. And that guy,
and they're like, welcome home. And he's like, open the gates. The guy's like, my lord, your lord has given a command. And
yeah.
The guy looks at him like,
oh,
really,
man.
dude?
He looks kind of disgusted.
He is disgusted because he's honor bound to do what he says. But like, what the fuck?
He's like,
you just gave
the Blackfish is right.
Asshole.
Yeah. He goes on, find the Blackfish, put him in irons and hand him over to the Freys.
And the guy is like, go find him. Oh my God. What the fuck?
Yeah, he gives the order, but he's like super pissed about it. Yeah. Well played, Jaime. Family, duty, honor. He knew the house words, and he put the kid up because he knew the loyalty would be to family.
Family first.
Yep. Pretty smart.
Always family first.
Really well played, Jaime. So as River Run is being lost to the Lannisters, what do we hear?
Rains of Castamere.
The Rains of Castamere. Sadly playing. Very fitting as a family is being destroyed to some extent.
Pretty much. Well, yeah. We don't see Edmure again, do we? We don't know what happens to him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happens with him after this.
He gives up the castle, so does he get to go back to his wife? I assume so.
That was sort of Jaime's first offer. You do this and
plan. Yeah, like give us the castle and you can go home. So he's freed. So
at least the kid will be like, taken care of and stuff. I'm not sure where he would be allowed to be. I mean, he can't go home. River Run, they've just taken the Freys.
And he can't go to the Freys because the Freys killed his family.
He may have to live with the Freys to be with the wife and the kid.
Ugh, gross.
Yeah. Arya probably killed him in the season 7 opener with all the poison and everything.
Oh, shit. So we cut down to like the bowels of the castle, I like to call it.
Yeah.
The bowels of the castle. They're in like this.
And it's about to poop out Brienne.
Yeah. In pod.
Yeah. Poop-a-pod.
Poop-a-pod. And the Blackfish is helping them escape. And he's like, go, I know that you can keep Sansa safe. Like, you'll serve her far better than I ever could.
Yeah, and thankfully he had the good sense to make sure Brienne got out of there so that Lady Sansa would at least still have Brienne. Because that could have been bad if Brienne got caught up in there.
Yeah. And she's like, come with us. And he's like, no, I ran once and I'm not going to do it again.
I'm like, why though?
And I love this. He like unsheaths his sword and he goes, I haven't had a proper sword fight in years. I expect to make a damn fool of myself. And he's like looking at the blade. And I thought that was
pretty brutal.
He like happily ran to his death.
Yeah. And Brienne is like trying to argue with him there. She's like, your family is in the north, come with us. Don't die for pride when you can fight for your blood. And I'm like, damn, Brienne, you're on point. Plus family, duty, honor, like the thing. He should have gone north.
Yep.
He should have gone to protect Sansa when he knew that the situation was lost there. It's really sad that he decided not to. And like he said, probably embarrassed himself and got killed for nothing, basically.
So let's presume that Edmure is free. And he's technically the Lord of River Run, which is now run by the Freys.
Well, yeah, the Freys own River Run now. He wouldn't be the Lord of it anymore.
But there's still what about the Tully army? Where do they go? Do they go to the Freys?
Yeah, they may have just been absorbed by the Freys.
That's what I was thinking, because I was thinking if some are still loyal to the Tullys, maybe we'll see the Tullys again up in Winterfell.
That would be cool. So they run away to help join the North Remembers, the resurrection of the Stark thing. But they're from the Riverlands, though, so they wouldn't.
They're from the Riverlands, but Sansa is Edmure Tully's niece.
Right, so it could be a theoretical place for them to escape to if they felt oppressed by new leadership in the Riverlands.
Yeah, so just a little gateway there, a little stone path possibly leading some of the Tullys up to Winterfell.
Yeah, maybe Sansa could inherit some of that army.
That's what I was thinking. Add them to the Winterfell army.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Whether it be to fight the army of the dead or Cersei.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so man, it sucks we lose the Blackfish here.
So we get they're in the rowboat, and it cuts out to the courtyard, and the banners are being dropped, and Lannister banners are being...
Lannister banners?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I made note of that because I was like, what the hell? I thought the Freys owned the twins, but I guess the Lannisters control the Freys.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was a lion banner.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It was a red lion, if I'm not mistaken. It was certainly not the twins.
Not two castles.
Yeah. It was certainly not the twins.
It's funny.
So we cut out and it's dawn. It's just the hour before dawn. It's very light out because this is all taking place at night. And Jaime is looking out over the river and he sees a little rowboat with Pod and Brienne in it.
Focuses on it, leans out a little bit to get a good look.
And this was very interesting to me because they had the conversation. They're like, honor compels me to fight against you. So technically at this point, the Blackfish rebelled and Brienne is kind of sneaking out of there. Jaime had every right to send some of the army after her. Right.
She's really lucky that only Jaime saw them escaping.
Exactly. And I think it was a truce. Again, he just waves at her I see you and you're okay. I'm not going to.
Yeah, totally.
Which is, I thought, very noble.
Yeah, they love each other, whether or not it's full-blown love on Jaime's side, he loves her.
He has an absolute love and respect for her.
Last thing they want is to fight each other. They were both almost sick imagining it.
Yeah, they have a bond.
Yeah,
it's a strong friend. I don't want to say a friendship, but it's certainly a bond.
Yeah.
And man, I love it. He lets her go, which shows Brienne that, to her statement earlier that they would have to fight against each other, he is kind of relinquishing that.
He's reluctant about it for sure.
Yeah, we're on opposite sides and I'm letting you go. So that says a lot to Brienne.
But also, she had said that we would have to fight if you guys attack the castle, essentially. And they didn't technically attack. River Run stood down.
Except the Blackfish kind of...
Right, but he was rogue at that point.
He was rogue.
Yeah.
The rogue fish.
Yeah. Just like he has the Blackfish separating himself from the rest of them and doing his own thing. That's why they call him that. He's like the black sheep of the Tullys.
Yeah.
So yeah. So technically.
Well, technically.
There wouldn't be a reason necessarily for them to fight at this moment. Because it didn't come to combat at the house. But I don't know. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
Luckily, Jaime let her go, which is really cool.
I loved it. It was just so symbolic of their previous conversation. Like,
yeah, definitely.
Honor compels us to fight against each other, but here I see you and I'm letting you go to go protect Sansa.
We'll only fight if we really have to.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I think that's all I have for my notes.
Except for learning about the Blackfish being killed, Jaime.
Oh, yes.
So then we cut back up to the castle, and Jaime's up at the battlements, and he gets word that from a guard that they've found the Blackfish, and he's like, "Good, bring him to me." But unfortunately, the guard tells him that the Blackfish died fighting, and I imagine that Jaime is genuinely upset by this, because the Blackfish has sort of been a revered figure in Westeros, and I know Jaime looked up to him and was upset that the Blackfish had such disrespect for him. So it probably saddens Jaime both that he's died and that he never had a chance to improve his image in his eyes.
Yeah.
Never had a chance to sort of redeem himself and earn his respect, which I'm sure he would have wanted to do if he could have. He really did try to be respectful and everything when they had their little parley.
Definitely. I think he was definitely sad to hear of the Blackfish's demise.
Yeah, definitely. So that wraps up my notes as well. Got anything else you want to add about the episode as a whole or anything?
No. Season 6 is phenomenal.
Yeah, easily one of the top seasons, which is interesting considering it's the first year that they really started going off script.
True.
Like partway from season through season 5, things started going off script from the books as we surpassed it. But this is like the first full season that's like all new stuff essentially. So,
I mean, God, we have so Battle of the Bastards is next.
I know, right? Johnny Stitches is stoked to join us.
Oh, yes. I can't wait.
Yeah, totally. All right, we'll be right back, guys. Stick with us.
Finally, a girl is no one.
A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell. And I'm going home.
And we're back with Game of Thrones and history. From townandcountrymag.com, the real people that inspired Game of Thrones, by Nancy Billio. William II. Just because you're a ruthless, war-happy, widely feared king doesn't mean your kids will wear a crown well. Just ask Robert Baratheon. His, quote, sons, unquote, didn't turn out too kingly. Like King Robert, King William II, son of William the Conqueror, died in the forest while hunting, very suspiciously. Ooh, nice. Robert Baratheon was gored by a boar after his young Lannister aide gave him spiked wine. In King William's case, an arrow pierced his lung on August 2nd in the year 1100 in the New Forest, and his nobles all fled. A peasant later found the body and thought he should tell someone. A modern historian called the unmarried king a, quote, rambunctious, devil-may-care soldier, without natural dignity or social graces, with no cultivated tastes and little show of religious piety or morality. Indeed, according to his critics, addicted to every vice, particularly lust and especially sodomy.
Ew. Gross.
Sounds like a cool guy.
Wow.
Whoa. William II was cool.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You do that way too well.
Todd is cool.
All right. Next we have Venice Assassins. The men of the House of Black and White and Bravos may be faceless, but they have a backstory, specifically the Council of 10 in the 15th century Venice. When you wanted someone assassinated, you went to the Council of 10, and there are still records of their proceedings, giving the number of those who voted for and who voted against the proposed removal, the reasons for the assassination, and the sum to be paid for this execution.
So hardcore.
According to the 1899 book Poison Romance and Poison Mysteries, the council were particularly adept at creating ornate cups with secret poison chambers.
Damn, that's so badass.
Crazy. Yes.
Fuck yeah, that's super cool. next is Mary of Teck. And now we leap out of the ancient and medieval world to the wife of King George V and grandmother of the current Queen Elizabeth. Born in 1867, Mary of Teck, as she was once known, was a girl from an insignificant royal house who got the chance at the biggest prize of all, marrying the future King of England. There's a reason the path was rather clear. Prince Albert Victor, the Duke of Clarence, was not very bright and not very nice. In fact, people like to speculate that, quote, Eddie, unquote, was Jack the Ripper.
Shit.
Yeah, I've heard this before, or that at least. For Mary, this was no problem at all. Unfortunately for her plan, Eddie died of pneumonia at age 28.
Damn.
However, Eddie had a younger brother, George, fond of his stamp collection. Mary wed George in 1893 in the Chapel Royal in St. James Palace. Just like Marjorie Tyrell on Game of Thrones, Mary very much wanted to be the queen.
Wow.
Interesting. I've never heard of that either. Another good parallel.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. What was that sound?
Ah, ravens!
Princess Sarah of House Von Daltrin. I choose violence. I love this line from Cersei. It's like she really made a pivotal and conscious decision to choose violence. And when the mountain sort of shows that it works, it's like from this moment on, she knows how to solve her problems. Choose violence. The rest of the show, up to this point, it seems to be working in her favor. I just love the way she really thinks about it. And then the smug look of realization and satisfaction when he tears that dude apart. Lancel has the biggest oh fuck look on his face.
Right.
Yeah. Classic moment. I choose violence. Epic.
I choose violence. It's one of my favorite lines of hers.
Oh yeah, totally.
No, the Sept blows up in episode 10 because we have Battle of the Bastards next. That's right.
Yep. And then it's the Winds of Winter.
Winds of Winter.
Yeah.
Sir Matthew of House Repp. The many-faced god was promised a name. He must always receive what is his. You can't change that. I can't change that. No one can. And now he's being promised another name. I wonder if there's a meaning here when the wave says no one can change who dies. Since the faceless men are no one, can they elect to give someone else the gift? Is that why Jaqen is okay with Arya killing the waif?
Wow, you said that so much more concisely than I did. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
I think so too.
Yeah, I like that interpretation, Sir Matthew. Very nice.
The following scene with the waif chasing Arya, we get a shot of an orange falling to the ground, and I can't help but think that the Godfather, where oranges are an omen of death. I wonder if this is a deliberate homage. You talked about that.
Yeah,
so
it's gotta
I've
be.
never seen The Godfather, so
it is. It
sounds to be that way.
This is for sure an homage to the Godfather, definitely, with all the fruit flying all over the place.
Yes.
You'll watch it, Rachel, and you'll know when you see it. You're like, oh,
okay.
That's the part.
Nice.
It's really iconic. You know, it's an iconic moment.
Got it. Sir Matthew goes on. They do anything to protect their babies, start a war, burn cities to ash, free their worst enemies, the things we do for love. Such a momentous quote from Jaime here as he is comparing Cersei to Cat. Along with Qyburn chasing rumors, this line about burning cities to ash foreshadows her blowing up the Sept of Baelor. But of course, that wasn't for love, but rather for hate.
Ah, good point.
Yes, I love that we both picked up on that, Sir Matthew.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Oh, something I wanted to mention really quickly that we did not mention in our coverage of the episode. When Bran is having those visions a couple episodes ago, the flashing visions in rapid succession, the explosion that they show of wildfire is the explosion underneath the Sept.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's in that room with all the barrels where Lancel gets it. Yeah.
Yep.
I saw a still frame and it's all those barrels on both sides of the room. So I was like, we should have mentioned that. Fuck.
Oh my goodness. I didn't. There were so many flashes in that vision.
I know.
like I would have to literally like watch it 100 times to pick each one out.
Yeah, we should
Maybe do that.
Yeah, we should have gone through and like still framed every one of them, but we're always scrambling to prepare, you know.
Always.
Yeah.
it's a busy life right now, for sure.
Definitely.
Sir Matthew goes on, Cersei choosing violence really screwed her here. It's only after Gregor receives a spike to the chest that the Faith realize a trial by combat would not go in their favor.
Dude, you're on point this week.
Totally. Love it.
Yeah, we're all having all the same epiphanies for sure.
Thank you for writing in.
Yeah, nicely said. Lady Sarah of House Larkham. I had mixed feelings about this episode. I liked most of it, but the end was a bit repetitive. Cersei was expecting a trial by combat, but Tommen basically sealed his own fate by forcing Cersei to take her own action. When asking about Qyburn about that rumor she ordered him to investigate, she asks if it was just a rumor or more, and he replies, much more. Yeah, it is much more. Thanks for writing in, everybody.
Yeah, thank you. We love your guys' feedback.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's our show, episode 100.
Woo!
Thank you for listening, everybody.
Yes, thank you guys so much. We love doing this podcast. We can't wait to continue doing it even after the series finale has ended. So, we just appreciate your patronage and continuing to listen to our ramblings.
Definitely, yeah, we really appreciate it. And a huge thank you to John Bailey, the epic voice guy from the Emmy-nominated Honest Trailers, for announcing our show. If you'd like to donate or subscribe to support us, you can go to paypal.me/GOMPodcast or patreon.com/GOMPodcast to donate an amount of your choosing. There are links to both at gameofmicrophones.com.
Doing some online shopping? Go to gameofmicrophones.com and click on our link to Amazon. As an Amazon associate, we earn from qualifying purchases.
Any contribution you make helps, and you can help secure the continued existence of Game of Microphones. We'd like to thank our patrons, Sir Matthew of House Repp, Lady Lucy of House Roberts, Lady Candace of House Tews, Lady Teri of House Theodore, Lord Jeff of House Allen, Sirenicide, and Luke, the Low Duke. Thank you guys so much. We love you.
We love you guys. Thank you.
And make sure to check out Sirenicide, the serialized horror drama podcast featuring me and Archmaester Stitches. Go to Sirenicide.com and download it wherever you get your podcasts.
We also love giving shout outs to our lovely lady, Lisa of House Sky, Pyromancer. She's literally imperative behind the scenes getting our website, gameofmicrophones.com, up and running. She's a wonderful artist too, and I actually just purchased her book on Amazon today. Yes.
She said that she's been getting good sales lately, so I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I just thought Justin is at a great age for a book like this because he's starting to point out people. He's
starting to notice people.
I really loved the idea of her book. It helps explain to children to be accepting and understanding with people that may look different than you. So I love that idea. So you can actually purchase her book, which is called The People You May See, and it's available now on Amazon.com. It's also eligible for Amazon Prime.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah, so mine's coming tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
Sweet.
Yeah, you can also check out her other amazing work at fineartsbylisa.com. She's also on Instagram and Facebook /fineartsbylisa.
Next episode, we'll be covering Season 6, Episode 9, Battle of the Bastards.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And Johnny Stitches will be joining us for that episode as well. So excited for that.
Archmaester.
Yes, our favorite Archmaester coming to join the show again. Give that episode a watch and send us your thoughts. We'd love to read them on air. If you'd like to call, you can always call us at 813-JOFFREY. That's 813-563-3739.
If you would like to write in, you can email us at ravens@gameofmicrophones.com.
Check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/GOMPodcast.
Imslap! Oh. You can also listen to Game of Microphones on YouTube, BitChute, and Steemit.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Gab, and Minds at GoMPodast.
And we're on Tumblr too at Game of Microphones.
All right, that's our show.
Thanks for listening. One last thing, Sir Jaime.
Yes, Lady Brienne.
Should I fail to persuade the Blackfish to surrender, and if you attack the castle, honor compels me to fight for Sansa's kin.
Of course it does.
To fight you.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Fuck you!
Yeah, those are your last words. Fuck you. Come on, you can do better.
Cunt!
You're shit at
You're
dying.
shit at dying.
You know that? That is a classic quote right there.
Oh my god, it was so funny.
Damn, legendary, the Hound for the win.
Cersei's like, fuck, I need to go deal with these guys. Come on, the mountain. Come follow me, my little pet dog.
Come on, the mountain.
Come along, the mountain.
Come on, Mountie.
She goes, I choose violence. And I'm like, yes! Oh my god! The mountain's gonna fuck some shit up here. So cue the idiot. Yep, he's just doing his thing.
Oh, and I was like, Hulk! And I was like, wait, no, not Hulk. Hodor's the Hulk.
Juggernaut.
Yeah, Juggernaut, exactly, yeah. Juggernaut.
Yes, he is the Juggernaut for sure.
Totally. Thoros is like, you've got friends. And Sandor's like, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Oh, man, that sucks.
That's so great.
And without even turning to look at him, Sandor holds up the axe, pointing at him. He's just like, drop that arrow, you bloody girl. And that's a fucking great line. A little sexist, but hilarious nonetheless.
It was funny.
Right. Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's just great. He's pulling the boots off this guy while he's still struggling and his legs are kicking.
And they're all looking at him and he just like looks up and looks around. He's like, got anything to eat?
They need to act.
With haste.
Yeah, big time. Big time. It's like, I'd fuck her. You'd fuck her, wouldn't you? Project's like, I'm her squire. Silly little
like, you showed her your magic cock.
Yeah, you had to have
grabs
it. By now. He's like,
speaking of cocks, I wanted to mention, oh my God. That was weird.
Hilarious.
Oh God, my chair is squeaking. Sorry. I want to cut his hair so bad. Like get it out of the crown. Like it's like all uneven and the crown's like squishing it down. His hair drives me crazy.
That's hilarious.
I just want to like buzz it. Just buzz it.
Just buzz that shit. So he's like, I'll remind you that our houses are at war. You know, I'm sorry if this conflict has inconvenienced you. But rebelling against the crown does have consequences. So Edmure is like, what is this bullshit? Like, we didn't come here to talk about our sisters. And Jaime's like, that's where you're wrong. That's exactly why I came here.
I'm going to catapult your baby into a wall. The many-faced god was promised a name. He must always receive what is his. You can't change that. I can't change that. No one can. So she starts running and then she slides under a cart. So I'm like, okay, well, now she has to be bleeding. She like slides down stone steps. On her stab wounds and now she's still not bleeding.
That looks so painful. Oh my God. The Father above beckons you into his hall. In seventh heaven, I'll see you once more. And then that's when it like gets intense. But now I seek vengeance on Sansa the whore. Oh, I was like, damn.
Oh God, they called Sansa a whore. Yeah, she's like the most virtuous person on the planet.
That's what I thought was funny too. I was like, I doubt Arya realized or would have wanted her script changed to result in her sister being called a whore, but you know.
I think Brienne needs to change the hilt of the sword.
Isn't that hilarious?
I've been looking at Lannister gold my entire life.
Missandei was like, I've had it before. It made me feel funny.
Because that's how you know it's working. I can't wait.
I know. It's going to be so good.
Da, da, da. my favorite.
Dun, dun, dun.
And the dragon's like screeching, flying ships. I'm talking myself out of my own theory.
It's hilarious.
Give up the castle, save your baby.
Yeah. It's pretty, like, what are they not going to let the Lord of Liver run?
You are not the lord of this castle, my lord. So we cut down to like the bowels of the castle. I like to call it.
Yeah.
The bowels of the castle. They're in like this.
And it's about to poop out Brienne.
Yeah. In pod.
Yeah. Poop-a-pod.
Poop-a-pod.
A modern historian called the unmarried king a, quote, rambunctious, devil-may-care soldier without natural dignity or social graces, with no cultivated tastes and little show of religious piety or morality. Indeed, according to his critics, addicted to every vice, particularly lust and especially sodomy.
Ew.
Like that guy with a dumb ass. Smash him. Smash. Todd is cool.